Yo, that podcast people, listen, one and only legend of winning, aka Low. We hear another episode of the Peer to Peer Podcast. On my left, I have my co-host, Agent Zero. Say what up.
Hi guys.
Jesus. Behind the producer desk, we got producer John. What up? Bro, you mad weird. Why?
So for the audio listeners, he's squinting. I think he's looking at Low. He looks confused though. He has a confused face.
Anyway, and finally, we have special guest on the podcast, Trey from Poor Man's Podcast. Man, say what up, say what up, say what up, say what up.
What's up, YouTube? What's up with y'all?
Man, before we get into everything, I'm almost 1,000% sure there may be some crazy shit maybe said on this podcast. So make sure you click the link in the description down low, bro. Some uncensored stuff, man. It's gonna be all filled up in there, bro. It's gonna be all a whole bunch of uncensored stuff. Also, shout out to all my podcast people on all audio platforms: Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Also, shout out to my YouTube people out there rocking with us strong. The Clips channel is going crazy, man. So you can't, take the whole 2-3 hour podcast. No, we ain't gonna be here that long. Not 3 hours. I'm gassing it. But you can't take the long form. We definitely got it chopped up for you in bite-sized pieces. And before you go over there, make sure you hit the notification bell so you can go.
What? You said so you can go what?
Yes, it's on you.
Wait.
You're supposed to say something.
You go.
What am I supposed to say?
Oh, no, I'll do it again. You probably messed it up. Hold on, I got you. Don't worry about it. All right. So after you do that, bro, make sure you come back, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, so you can go.
The HBO special, y'all trying to do that? What's up?
That's one answer. I don't think that's one he's looking for though. But hey, man, tell me the right answer, Low.
Man, make sure you hit the notification bell so you can join Noti gang, gang, man.
I'm like, what's going on, bro?
And finally, man, shout out to my word of mouth people out there. Not only, partially because of y'all, but also I saw the comment that you left in one of the videos that we did probably a couple months ago. Kind of tied all this to where we are together right now. So shout out to y'all, man, word of mouth people. We see y'all out there. But before we get too deep into it, kind of, I guess, explain who you are, what you do, your platform, and how you got to where you are right now.
Okay. My name is Travion. A lot of people don't even know my name because I have a podcast called the Poor Man's Podcast on YouTube primarily. It was just something that I started doing after getting injured. I used to be a rugby player, and during the time I was injured, I had nothing else to do. So started making videos, started posting stuff that I was thinking about, reacting to certain content. Obviously, once you start getting traction, that's the kind of content you start focusing on and starting to niche down into it. And so I ended up starting to do dating and more relationship-focused commentary. And just 404 videos later, here I am. So
when did that start? When you said you got injured and you kind of just started, how long ago was that?
That was 2019. So, bro, literally, so I graduated in 2008, or actually I graduated, 2018. Then that summer, from graduation to August, I played rugby for 3 months. I had never even heard of the sport, never picked up a ball, knew nothing about it. After playing for 3 months, I made the national rugby side, so the national sevens team. Yeah, literally after playing for 3 months.
You're natural, brother.
Yeah, well, I was fast. I was fast. So when you have that speed, I was the second fastest player in the world behind my teammate, Carlin Ives. Yeah, so he ran
in the world?
Yes, so he runs a 10-1. I was somewhere around a 10-4, 10-5.
In rugby or
in rugby and just in track. So we had the speed.
You were the second fastest in the world?
Well, not in track, but on rugby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so in world rugby, I was the second fastest player in the world at one point when I was playing. But
okay, so you thought maybe there's a future there?
Yeah, so obviously I got picked up because of the talent, and you can't really teach speed, and it was something I knew. So the guy that was in front of me, him and another player named Perry Baker, they were kind of getting older, so they're like, we're going to need somebody to replace them. So that's when they brought me into the program, and I started getting used to it. But so I did that. I got to travel to 12 different countries in a year.
Damn, where'd you go? What kind of countries?
I went to Uruguay, Paraguay.
What?
I've been to England. I've been to Kenya. I've been to Hong Kong. I've been to Ireland. I've been all over the place, bro. In Scotland. I actually got to play, which was really interesting. I got to play on the first field that the game that I was playing was played on. So rugby sevens is a offset of rugby 15s. That's the main sport. So rugby 7s was literally invented on the grass in Scotland that I got to play on at one point. So I did that. So I did that for another year.
Rugby's fun though.
Yeah, it's a crazy fun sport.
Yeah.
It's a crazy fun sport, and I just like it because there's a lot of culture behind it that a lot of people don't know, and it's a small world. So like you could be a player in Minnesota or wherever it may be, and just because you play the sport, everybody will be like well mannered and treat you nice, just because that's a part of the culture in rugby. So yeah, that was one of the reasons I actually liked it. It's a really fun sport. But I played.
No one told you that like everyone gets injured playing rugby?
Yeah, that's the part that I had to learn. The thing is, it wasn't that new to me because the reason why I stopped running track, outside of not having the natural talent of a Usain Bolt and it being damn near impossible to make any money out of track. If we're just completely honest. If you're not the first guy, who cares?
How do you make money off track? Just sponsors? I guess?
It's literally like it's strictly sponsors.
Wow.
And the only way people care is if you're the fastest person. So if you're not, it's a knife fight. It's like it's a blood sport if you're not the fastest person for just living every day.
So do like, let's say you're top 25 in the world fastest. Can you make like a full-time earning running track?
It depends on a lot of different things, because if you were the top 25 but you were the fastest in collegiate, just because of the expectation, you can demand more when you sign your first contract. So off the basis of that, but once you start taking out like injuries, like people that are, it's like every sport, everybody pays attention to the top guy and they think that it'd be amazing to do that sport because of the top guy. The top guy is getting paid, obviously. But they don't pay attention to name somebody that's in the top 10 outside of Usain Bolt. Like most people.
Fuck, there was this one Canadian guy.
Andre DeGrasse.
Yo,
I actually raced him.
He's a beast. We fought with him heavy, dog. Nah, I saw him at Lifetime one time too. He's a good fucking guy, man.
Usain Bolt smoked him, and they were like, "Oh man."
Yeah,
No, but he was mad young though. He was like 18, I think, when they raced.
Bro, yeah. The thing about Andre DeGrasse, bro, is, and this could be just a rumor. You know how little tales go around, and the times start getting lower and lower as people tell it more and more.
Yeah.
But supposedly he like had never ran track, and he just got on the track with Jordans on. Yeah. He just got on the track with Jordans on.
Sounds like a folk tale.
No, he literally just walked up to the line. Like he just started. He walked up to the line, Jordans on, not knowing how to do anything, and ran like a 10.6.
I feel like sometimes like people are just built for it. You feel me?
Yeah.
There's some NBA players like, was it Embiid who had the story about how like he didn't even play basketball until like high school?
There's a lot of them like that.
Yeah. And it's like, wow. So there's some players that didn't even play till college.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like everybody is different. Like. That's the part that we might get into it later on, as far as everybody being told that we're all the same and there ain't no such thing as gender. We're all this and that. Everybody's obviously different and we're dealt with different cards. And you can see it by sometimes people are just good at something from picking it up. Like, and I've been trying to figure this out. Actually, I want to finish the story of the rugby stuff before I go into, because I was about to go on a whole
10.6 in Jordans though is crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
You got a
for anybody that doesn't know.
in Jordans.
No, Andre DeGrasse did. That was the story.
In Jordans.
Yeah, just walking up to the line. Now that might be a little folk tale, if he sees it. If I'm wrong, whatever. But yeah. So with the rugby,
Concord.
Jordan himself came up with that story.
Promote the shoes. No, but yeah. So I was one of the fastest in rugby, and that's what helped me. And then that summer, I actually got selected for the Pan American Games team.
Tough.
Yeah, bro. So
it's actually how I got into sports. I volunteered at the Pan Am Games when I was in Toronto.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like what sport was it?
Well, I actually played rugby before I completely stopped because I had learned that everyone that plays it gets injured.
Yeah, you get paid in gum too.
Yeah, so in gum?
Yeah, not literally, but
right, like just
you're
nothing.
getting scraps. Yeah.
Yeah. So I, as far as I knew, we had some like Australian guy come to their school and start teaching us rugby, and I was like, this is it. I love the sport. It was so fun when we were playing it in gym class. But then the school was like, we should have a rugby team. And I'm like, that's a good idea. I tried out. Coach basically, I was a big guy then too, so they needed some big guys on the team. Yeah. So they were like, yeah, you're good. Come on.
Just come on and play.
It felt fishy. I usually have to fight for my spots.
But that's what I'm saying though. That's how it is though. Like, because it's such a small community, everybody's super welcoming. And it's the guys that didn't want to play football. They might not have been quite as social sometimes. So when they get into this community of other guys, they have people that they can do stuff with, and a lot of dudes are lacking that, especially now. Like a lot of dudes don't have physical communities that hold you accountable and make you better. And I think that's super important. I think that, as men, we're losing that. But that's another tangent that we might just go on that later.
So to finish this rugby story, you're playing rugby now. It's 3 months in. What type of injury did you receive? Did you immediately know like you're not going to continue doing this, or like talk to me like how it happened?
Okay, so basically around this time, now I'm doing the Pan American Games. By the way, this is all like, for the most part, unpaid.
Wait, you're playing for America?
Yeah, this is the national side.
Oh my God, you just walked on the American team?
No, I played for that summer and I made the national sevens team.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd never touched the ball and then I played for 3 months.
Pan Sports is a huge event. You don't just walk onto that event. That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I was pretty good. Like I would score a lot. Mm-hmm. Like that was my job. I just get the ball and score. That was like what they hired me to do. So, but they didn't really hire me because all of this stuff is, and this is the story, all this stuff is unpaid. So you're doing all this, you're getting injured, you're dealing with all this stuff that's going on, you're flying in and out, which sounds cool at first, but then when you realize you can't really have a job because you have to leave for 2 weeks at a time every month, you know? So it becomes, if you don't make money from it, it becomes a burden eventually. And over that summer, I was going to sign the contract after the Pan Am Games because I did pretty well there. But at another tournament, I ended up getting a herniated disc in my back from running, not even from getting tackled, just from running. Like, because I never took any big hits because I was fast, so I would always avoid them. Yeah. And I'm 100, and at this time I was like 165 pounds. And you know how big these dudes are. These dudes are 250. Once you get to the international level, bro, these dudes are just grown men by every standard of what you would imagine. Like, so I'm just like, I'm avoiding all hits. So I didn't even get hit, but I don't know what it was from. I think it was from lifting heavy over the years. And I've always been a very like hard work person. So like when people would take like the summer off because you need that to recover in your body, I always thought if I just keep going, I'll get better. And really it just made it so I got injury prone eventually just from all the stuff. And once I had a herniated disc, they told me that I could either get surgery or I could wait it out, and waiting it out is going to take about a year.
Damn.
Yeah, so literally at the tournament, and by the way, at the tournament I got injured at, we won it, and I proposed to my now wife at that time. Like at the tournament, after we won the tournament. So like, at this time my back is injured though, so I could hardly get down on one knee, but we thugging it out, you know? So I did all that, and I just didn't want to, I don't know, like I just had responsibilities, bro. Like, you know, we go out to the Olympic Training Center. It's in Chula Vista, California, and you live with 5 dudes. You know, it's good if you're a team focused on a goal, but at some point I have to have I have to live, and I have a wife. I'm not going to move her into this apartment in California with 5 other dudes. That's weird. Yeah. Right. So I'm just trying to gauge this whole thing. Like, is this what I want to do? Because I see people that do this and they're 33, they're injured. They have lifelong injuries and they don't have much to show for it in terms of money. The NFL, they'll kill you, but at least they'll pay you. Yeah, for sure. You know, they'll pay you for it. But in rugby, the money just isn't there yet. And for where I was in my life, if I was a college student and I didn't have much to lose, it would have been different. But the fact that I had a wife and I had responsibility starting to build up, I was like, let's go try to make some real money. Unfortunately, at some point, you have dreams, but you got to niche down too at some point. So
when you get to that conclusion, how do you decide like YouTube videos is a thing? Is that just a hobby you started, or did you actually see it taking off?
I've always had like, I don't know. I've always like had conversations with people. And when I got injured, I worked for USPS, which was
the worst place.
The best inspiration you could ever get if you want to figure out a way to not work. It's the best inspiration you could get, bro. Like, I'm trying to tell you.
Did they tell you the story? Like when you go to the warehouse, they walk you through, they show you everything, like how bad it is. Yeah, they did the same thing to me.
Yeah, they literally.
I did interviewed and I was like, I'm not working here.
Yeah, they basically say don't work here.
They literally like, man, we have football players, athletes come in here and throw these trucks, and they can't handle it. This is a horrible place to work at, and they literally walk you through the warehouse telling you not to work there, get you to the office and say, yo, if you don't want to do this, you're not going to hurt us at all, go ahead and go home. Yeah. And I was still living with my mom at the time, so I didn't want to show up without a piece of paper. I was like, I'll stay, but I'm not doing this. Bro. Yeah, it was horrible.
That's what it is. They just tell you to not work there. That's the whole interview. That's
insane.
And when you think about it, like a lot of people take that stuff for granted, bro, but your mail comes rain, sleet, or snow. And I'm in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I'm in Minnesota at this time.
That's a very inefficient company. Just to let y'all know. Like in Canada, we have like the mailboxes. You know how you guys have mailboxes at each house?
Yeah.
That's inefficient. They just have a mailbox at the end of the street for all the homes in that street. So when the mail person comes, they just unlock it. It swings the whole thing open. They put all 40 pieces of mail for all the homes on the street. So this is like a crazy process. I just thought this was like a movie thing. I didn't think people actually did this.
No,
Y'all do this.
Yeah, some blocks have that, but for the most part, we're going door to door
That's
to
crazy.
door. Like I would, because I've always been like, I count my steps and stuff. So mind, I have a herniated disc at this time too. So I'm walking 25,000 steps when I can hardly even walk.
25K?
25,000 steps a day is what I was getting calculated at. And I actually keep my watch on me and my phone so I know how many steps I'm taking. That's like, for people that don't know, a mile is like 5,000 steps.
Yeah, I don't even think 25K.
Or no, I think it's 2,500 steps for a mile or something like that.
Yeah, I stopped counting my steps, but I don't think I've ever hit 25K. Like,
Yeah,
I swear, ever.
Yeah, it's insane. I was doing that every single day, rain, sleet, or snow, and it's a lot of snow in Minnesota.
Jeez.
So yeah, so I was doing that, and then I decided I'm gonna keep doing it just to thug it out because I have to.
Did it
Gotta
pay well?
live. No, I mean,
Jesus.
yeah, I mean, well, it's
What do they do well?
what is well. You get, you know,
what
like,
is well? That's
Well,
a
it's
good
like
question.
you're content.
yeah. Well,
What does that mean? What is
exactly, like, I don't-
yeah, what does I'm content mean?
Yeah.
Like when you get paid, you're like, fuck yes.
no,
No.
you're not gonna have. You're gonna go. Oh, that's how much Joe Biden took.
So, okay.
You're gonna go, okay, and so like all that money is gone from as soon as you see it. I mean, bills. It's but
Benefits, like what do they provide? Like what is the reason for saying yes? If they're telling you not to do it at the job interviews or whatever when they're walking you through and you still do it, but you know to pay, like what is
You're desperate.
Necessity. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
but it pays better than like McDonald's.
Oh yeah, for sure.
well, I mean, I
down
don't
here
even
it
know
is.
anymore because I think McDonald's upped it to like $15.
Well, now, but like 2-3 years ago, or like even like 5 years ago, when I was fucking at UPS and then UPS or whatever, both of them, really both of them.
Yeah.
It was noticeably better than what. And from my understanding, back in the day, especially older people who were like really involved, the benefits were definitely worth it. But now, from my understanding, no.
Yeah, it's and if you're a person that like you have ambition, you expect more from yourself. Like that's the hardest part about that. You know what I mean? It's like you just go, I could do better. You just see people doing better and you just want to do better. So, but I was doing that and I had the herniated disc and I just sat down and started making
What is a
videos.
herniated disc? Like what's the feeling?
It's
Like a pinch, right?
okay. So it's like it's S5, S1. That's where I had it. So it's in the lower back. And what happens though is it pushes on a nerve called the sciatic nerve, which is the biggest nerve in the human body. And what that does is it sends a signal all the way down your leg of just like burning pain. Like it's like your whole leg is on fire.
Jesus.
Literally the worst thing you can imagine. And I was dealing with it for 18 months, bro.
How like often is it? Like in the whole day? Do you feel it once? Is it the entire day?
The problem with it is it's nerve damage. So yeah, it's all day. It's chronic. Yeah, it's chronic pain. It was horrible. And so
You decided to
walking?
wait that out instead of just
Yeah,
getting
what?
surgery?
well, because the surgery, they said long term it affects you worse.
Oh Jesus.
So I didn't want to do that because I was like, I'll just take this pain now and then hopefully in the future I can get it back to where it was. Or
And it's
get it
better now?
Oh yeah, significantly. Like I still compete. I probably won't go back to the national level, but I still compete at like the club level. So I ended up going to nationals last year. We got like 5th or 6th. Just me lollygagging. I was still making videos at this time.
Yeah.
Dropping a video a day. So that just shows how much focus I was on just rugby.
Yeah,
it
that's
was more of
actually-
just a pastime.
That's very
hobby.
interesting. You know, MKBHD still plays professional ultimate.
Ultimate Frisbee.
Yeah. I actually seen his highlights. Dude's
He's athletic as
No,
fuck.
no,
yeah,
he's
dude's-
legit.
Yeah, he's an
Yeah,
athlete for sure.
Facts.
But yeah, so I was doing that and just decided to start doing something else. Like I just wanted to do something. So I just got a laptop, and that's why, well, it ain't why I called it the Poor Man's Podcast. It's really just a name. But I got a laptop, cheap laptop, $400. I didn't even have a camera at the time, so I was using Droid Cam, which is an app that allows you to, if you use a USB cord, it'll act as a webcam.
Your phone.
Yes. So
Okay.
you can hook it up with the USB, and if you download the app, it'll act as a webcam. So I was using that, literally just like stringing this thing together. Even to this day, all of the editing that I do is on my phone.
Interesting.
Right now?
Yes, I could that's how I edit my videos.
What in the world?
So yeah, I've been thugging, bro. I don't know. I just been doing it how I've been doing it.
Nah,
so
if you run up on Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere, your life is gonna change.
Yeah,
man.
that's probably the thing. That's probably why. Like I need to get into that kind of stuff.
No, but having your phone is good because you could be outside or traveling and still get shit done.
Yeah.
Having like those are only really relevant if you like use them to their maximum ability.
Yeah.
Like the try hard editors have like scripts, so they click one key and there's 6 different prompts, and it's just like. But in all reality, like I prefer just having it more convenient.
Yeah, that's what I like. Even my setup still to this day is pretty simple. I don't really have a lot of the bells and whistles and a lot of the nice stuff yet even though we can do it now. Mm-hmm. But I'm just so accustomed to what I've been doing. That's all it is. And
do you have like a desire to get like better equipment and shit?
Yeah, bro. Like I'll see. I really have a desire to go further with it, just because I see some like other people. Like I watch a Ben Shapiro or I don't know if y'all know Timcast IRL. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like I see these guys. They start off with a webcam, and now they have these production teams. They have people who do journalism for them, so they can present the stories, and it's ran like a cable company.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's amazing. Like the fact that people can do that, like the Pat McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Like he
that guy got it. Yeah,
that's insane, bro. He's doing as well as any other thing that anything ESPN is putting on. Like the guy's amazing. Mm-hmm. So, and his just inside knowledge of the stories adds to that because he has a different perspective than a lot of people, and it's less filtered because he can go direct to consumer. You know, so yeah, I don't know. I just have a really simple setup, and that's what I've been doing, bro. Just making videos, trying to articulate arguments, and like when we were talking about the natural talent thing, this is something that I've been thinking about because I'm like, what does it mean to be entertaining? You know what I mean? Like, isn't that like, I've been trying to think because you want to make the best content and it has to be entertaining, but like, what does that even mean? And if it is a thing, is it something that's natural or is it something that you have to work at? Because I know people personally that I can just like, that I've met that have the best conversations ever. They're hilarious, very entertaining people, but I still don't really know what that means to be entertaining.
I think it depends. It depends on who the audience is first. Because, like, FaZe Rug is entertaining as fuck to boppers. But then, like, you grow older, you hit 20, you're not watching as much FaZe Rug. It's not no dig on him. It's just not who he's supposed to appeal to.
Yeah.
So, in the same sense, what I'm saying, if you watch, like, cooking videos, the shit they find entertaining in cooking videos is, like, dad jokes and, like, funny bits of humor. It's just a different type of, but to them, that's like, yo, that shit was mad funny when he dropped the spatula. So, I think it just depends. I've been asking myself that question a lot too because I live in a house full of like a bunch of different like really entertaining people.
Yeah.
But they're also like entertaining in different ways. So it's interesting how like you could be completely different than somebody else. Somebody could be loud, you could be quiet, but both you guys could be hell entertaining. Because I think players like Kawhi Leonard is super entertaining.
Yeah, in his own way.
Talks.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And then the other people like Pat Bev, I love watching him play because he just gets the most out of people and he loves to talk. So I think it just depends, to be honest with you.
I think over the past like 10, 15 years, especially with the way the media is like shifted, a lot of it has to just do with you being you and relatable as possible. Because like you say, a lot of the things even you reference, even like with cooking, the reason why people are starting to find that stuff humorous is because they're like, oh yeah, I do know. That also happens to me when I'm cooking whatever, like da.
Yeah.
So I think when more and more people start to understand like we're actually much more closer than we probably think, even though there might be things that we grew up on that might have been viewed as tabooish. I think probably the best example of this, I always say him, is Mark from RDC.
Mm-hmm. He's fucking definition entertaining.
Bro, dude he makes some good content, bro.
But the things that they do, I don't know how old you are, but like growing up, it's like it was kind of taboo for you to be black watching anime, doing shit like, you know what I'm saying? Like
I'm an anime guy, bro. I'm trying to tell you, and I know that for a fact. Like when you were the lane, that's what it is, right? Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like stuff like that is like when you start to realize like, oh no, there's like a group of like a massive group of people across America who also identify in the exact same thing. So then when he says something, it's damn near like we're saying an inside joke to one another because we all know like what he's talking about right now. So I think that's what's being viewed as like entertaining, is just being more relatable, being yourself and trying to garnish, like he said, a specific audience. And a lot of that is just, some of that is natural and it can be honed in through skill and delivery and understanding stuff like that. But a lot of it, I think being yourself is like probably the best way to be entertaining nowadays. Especially because I think the audience on especially YouTube, they're like smart enough to realize like, oh, this seems kind of fake. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm not about to.
I be feeling like that sometimes, but then you got relationships. Yeah,
it's just
that is deliberately.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's deliberately fake, and then
You're right.
But it'd be the boppers that believe that. Like anyone over the age of 15 is not. Like we got to react to one of the videos.
I know.
In the chat.
I saw
because it's like there was a video about a guy who fucked Siri.
What does that mean?
Like the robot on the Apple phones. I haven't watched it. I'm trying to say my
or
reaction.
the one where because that's about to be the meta in the relationship videos is the softcore prawn. Like
I seen y'all do a couple on playback.
Yeah,
I seen
bro,
y'all do a couple
it's nasty, bro. Like the way that they like set things up. Like one of them is I just rub my brick on my stepmom or some shit like that. And it's like, bro, god damn, bro. Like what are you doing right now? So stuff like that is like weird.
It's so interesting though how like every social media platform turns to that eventually. It just takes time.
Isn't that crazy?
And if it's not mediated, it will it'll do it quicker. Like, and it's like a consistent fight to go from just
and before
ass.
that,
It's just a consistent fight to go from ass. Like that's what every social media platform.
You know
is.
what's so crazy though? If you log into YouTube or on your phone with no no account, and go to YouTube Shorts, it is nothing but ass. That's all it is.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Like even TikTok, if you go into it, but like without being in the algorithm, because it figures out what you like pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But when you go right into it, that's all you see is people who I hope is 18 shaking their butt on there.
Yep.
Like that's all it is.
That's all it is.
that is crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, and then it's like the parents, they're trying to find a way to survive. They don't, they're not paying attention. They got to find a way to eat. Their children don't have health care. So it's like their kids are just on these apps all day, sharing an entirely different like culture than what we even know of because we're just not a part of it.
For sure.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's like a whole different.
Default YouTube is ass.
Is ass. What Shorts I think is just a reflection of what they think what TikTok is anyway.
Yeah.
But the other YouTube videos like
That's
on my
like Sniper
iPhone,
Wolf and Mr. Beast.
Yeah, on my
and shit
iPhone,
like that.
I don't have it. It's a lot of Mr. Beast, Sniper Wolf. It's a lot of like shit like that. Also a lot of was it late night shows too. Like
But
that
even
that shit still dominates, unfortunately.
And recently there was like a big there's a new like meta coming now, I guess, because I like track, so I still watch it. But the meta is like beautiful track women. Long jumping.
I seen
and
that.
it'll catch them like
Have you seen
literally
these
in
long
the
jump
most,
videos?
Bro, it's insane. Like it's like their go-to is Fatima. I think I forget what country she competes for.
Bro, you guys, if you haven't checked them out, there is a plethora of long jump videos. The reason people like these long jump videos is because this is straight ass, bro.
Yeah.
Straight ass. And they're all athletic. And they're just jumping. It's track and field shit.
Yeah.
They're just jumping. 10 million views,
And then
15 million views.
And then conveniently enough, they have sand in their bottoms.
Oh, yeah.
So they have to get it out. You got to readjust the bottoms. You just landed in a sand pit. You brushing off your cheeks.
See,
you got to get all that out. So like, they start zooming in on the camera. I'm like, bro, what are we doing right now? Like,
I saw this shit on my homepage for the first time because, I go on incognito. I like to test my titles. So I'll like inspect Element and put my titles on. So, but I'll see often. A lot of the times it's just like a house mix and then Mr. Beast, like it's generic shit.
Yeah.
Bro, for the first time a couple weeks ago, I saw a long jump compilation. It was just ass on the thumbnail.
that's all it is?
Swear. Yeah, no. So it's getting really popular. That's what that means.
Crazy. So when you started to, I guess, niche down, you said you kind of gravitated to more of the talking point of like relationships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What was that process? Because when we get into that, I do want to get to that portion of the conversation, but what was the process of trying to like finding your niche and then kind of seeing how you got in that direction and like the ups and downs of starting a new YouTube channel in the last like 2 or 3 years?
Well, like one of the biggest parts for me was like learning the tech behind it. Like that's the big part that like people don't know, especially when you first start. Like they just see everything as a 7-minute video or 8-minute video, 10-minute video, whatever it may be. But there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff when it comes to like learning the editing software, like learning, because I wasn't savvy. I wasn't like tech savvy. Yeah. So I'm like trying to download these softwares, trying to figure out how to use this editing stuff. And that's why I tried to keep it simple because I didn't understand it. So the biggest part for me in terms of making the content was just understanding the technology, because I had been already having the conversations. At this point, I was a Division I athlete, like sprinter, like at the national level. At some parts, I was a 6-time All-American. So, and then I went into rugby. So you just get a different perspective when you're an athlete, because for some reason we love to watch people throw a ball. So you just have people like you for no reason. You get to see different perspectives from people that have an advantage, especially in the dating market. And when you see it, it's very. It just. You understand, like you start to understand the concepts a little more because you see it in action. So I'd already been having these conversations with people like that were on my track team and that, I would just have just talk to. So the content as far as having the conversations was never like that tough. And I was already into I'm not really big into politics, but I would just dabble a little bit. Yeah. I'd work I would look at things, and because the commentary is what I do in real life. So if me and my wife is watching something and I see something ridiculous, I almost feel the need to say something about it. Yeah. So I was already kind of doing that. Yeah. And I was already kind of figuring out what people kind of like a little bit. And just when I started doing it, and this is the biggest part, when you start getting into the niches, is you become incentivized by the money to go towards a certain direction. And this is when I started to understand media a lot more. Why is on Fox News is always a black dude or whatever? You got to sell, and the thing that's going to sell the most is the majority of the country is white. We've demonized a specific group, and let's scare people, and that's going to get the clicks and views and likes or whatever it may be. So understanding the monetizing aspect behind media makes you understand why it's so polarized and why it's so the way it is, So you got to be careful with that, because that's where your integrity kind of comes into question. Sure. What are you willing to do for the views? And I think when people go too far into willing to do things with views, because you got to play the game. Yeah. You got to play the algorithm. You got to do the thumbnail, title, make people get on the video, or it doesn't matter what you're saying. They're not gonna listen. So you do got to play the game, but at some point you have to have a line where you go, that's just not right. Yeah, we're not going to do that. Yeah. So that's probably the other thing that I realized when I started doing YouTube that was really interesting to me, just understanding that dynamic of how the money influences the content. Yeah. And how it can. Yeah.
Because I'm not going to lie, I ain't going to lie, man. The last year and a half, you've been going crazy. Yeah. Because I'll watch a video of his and it'd be man, just hit the, can we get to 50,000 subscribers, and I'll look down, it's already at 100,000. What's going on? Then they'll say, can I get to 70,000? This nigga's at 200 something. So the growth is crazy, because I'll watch a video that wasn't that long ago. I'm bro, he's already there. But I think it's very important and very impressive, actually, that you grab that concept of YouTube that quickly, because there's people who be on YouTube for years, and will never ever understand what you just said right there. It really don't matter. Sometimes it may not even matter that much about what you're saying, because you gotta keep the people, you gotta gravitate them to your video. Out of the sea of videos that they see on their homepage and they're suggested, bro, the thumbnail and the title, you gotta have that straight so people can click it. And a lot of people just they don't understand how important that is, to the point where, even Mr. Beast has gone on record and saying, before I even record a video, I'll have my thumbnail and my title ready to go before I even come up with that. So but I don't think a lot of people don't really understand it, and it's very impressive that you got onto it. Yeah. So I guess let's go ahead and get into it. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's get into this. So all right, let's get to the rep. Not because I didn't want to give you props, because it was very impressive. The growth has been very, very impressive. Yeah. Why do you think that the dialogue and the conversation, it is what it is right now with relationships and dating and stuff like that?
I think we're in a situation where people are being separated more and more, and guys especially. Because bro, this is how guys communicate, man. We have to be critical of each other, because we have to progress. We compete for procreation. If you don't compete well enough, your DNA doesn't go into the next generation. Okay. So the only men that ever kept going are the ones that became more competitive. And so that means you need criticism. So if you do something wrong and I criticize you, you're going to be better adept at accepting it, because you want to be better, and you have to be better to procreate. Women specifically, they just don't have that. They don't have to accept criticism. They see criticism as cruelty. So when we're in male spaces and we give strict criticism straightforward so that people can try to better themselves, it can be easily seen as cruelty, because you just don't communicate that way. You know what I mean? So I think there's just a difference in terms of the way men and women communicate. And so now guys have an opportunity to be a part of something where they feel like they're communicated to how they want to be communicated to. And they're able to be honest about conversations that need to be had. And they can see it, like guys can feel it, right? Guys understand, but they don't have a way, they feel like they don't have a way to express it because anytime they do, they're told to shut up, essentially, or that there's some kind of phobic or, some kind of phobia or some kind of ist or whatever it may be. So now they have a place where they can say stuff. That's what it is. Like they want to be.
No, I agree with you because I think a lot of times even when I watch videos or people have these conversations, and then like the reaction I hear, and I'm like, bro, like that's the same tone that niggas was telling me shit like 10 years ago. Like I don't understand.
It's
like
regular conversation.
Yeah, it is. A lot of times I'm like, bro, he just saying like obvious shit, but I'm realizing more and more and more like people just interpret things totally different, like completely, totally different. And gender is definitely part of it, but I even think like age is a part of it. Like in the way that things get separated is definitely a part of it. But I'll sit here and listen to what somebody's saying. I'm like, bro, he's just saying shit.
But see, that's the crazy part though, because like with people being more and more alienated, they want these conversations. They just need somebody to say you can do it. Or this is, or give they want somebody that can articulate something that they already know and wonder why they felt that way about it.
You know what's interesting? I don't know if you watched Sneako's most recent video, but I forgot what he was doing exactly, but there was a part in the video halfway through where he bumped into this lady. He asked her a question and you could tell that she had an opinion, but she was like, "Oh, I can't say that," and he was kind of like, trying to
the real man video.
Yeah, that video. And she ended up just like saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna get canceled. Don't put that in there. I'm gonna get canceled." And I was like, "Bro, you could just see fear like in her." She had like a vintage like clothing store. Yeah. It's like, how are they gonna cancel your vintage clothing store? How
is that your target audience? Is that your target market?
But it's just that like it's interesting because I feel like you should be sensitive to like. The fact that everybody's different, but at the same time, he asked an important question in that video, and I don't really have the answer to it. But at what point, like if I call low fat, if you're just very sensitive about your fatness, should I not say that now? Probably if I'm a good friend. But then like where are we drawing the line? If I say like you're ashy, objectively, dog, you're ashy, but if you get sensitive about that, can I not say that to you now? Neither. Exactly. You feel me? But then it's just like. I feel as though the criticism can be useful because you need to be moisturized and it's going to be good for your skin long term. But if I can't levy the criticism because I'm worried about your sensitivity, then you're worse off because of it. Yeah. And I miss out on a good joke I can make.
Yeah. Okay. So it's kind of like being passive versus being like direct. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, you can virtue signal and try to make people feel good about everything that are problems in their lives. But if you're close to a person and you want to acknowledge a problem for the betterment of them, then you should be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? Without everybody being so sensitive to everything. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with like the communication gap, I guess it would be, between men and women is when I'm trying to figure out a way to put it, but basically I don't want to, I'm trying to figure out a way to put what I'm trying to say, but
I think I know what you're saying. I think kind of everybody know what you're saying. Because I would, to a degree, I think there's a difference, but the first time I really realized when we reacted to that video, where it was like some daytime show that was like 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Bethany.
Yes, and I was like, we were listening to the things that they were saying, and obviously, like, bro, I'm not watching a daytime show. Like probably 8 years ago, either I was in college or like I'm just either working on YouTube or like just I'm doing something like 8 years ago. I'm not watching a fucking daytime show. Mm-hmm. So, but then I realized like, there's a bunch of women and that's that demographic, middle age or whatever the demographic is. And I'm watching it and the shit that they're saying, I'm like, bro, what the fuck is going on? Like they're literally saying like, no, it's okay. Like there might be a man out there who might like a fat, lazy woman. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, like fat lazy. Cool.
Some men might like lazy, a fat woman, but lazy though?
Lazy is like the lazy. Like literally a negative. Like there's no way you can
make it positive.
You know you can make lazy positive. And then she was literally, I think it was Eddie. It was you know what's so crazy? It was Eddie Murphy's ex-wife sitting there.
Oh, I did that video too, bro. Yeah, that's it. And I'm like, so you over here built like a model. Yes. And you telling women that don't look like you that it's okay.
Yes.
Seems like somebody's incentivized via just competition to do that. So it's like,
I'm like, bro, like
it's weird.
And then, but then it's like, how are we flipping lazy? So then I'm like, if there's years and years and years of that, if that's a dialogue that's being had on there, it was crazy. They would even have a man on there too. He was like saying just regular shit.
Yeah, like I don't know if that's what you can do.
Yeah, I was like,
she's like, it's okay to be lazy. He's like, I don't know if you should be lazy, and they just booing him. Like,
they're booing him saying, nah, I can be lazy, and I'm like, are y'all just saying shit for the sake of saying shit, or are y'all literally patting each other on the back through regardless of what was being said?
Yeah,
and I would go as far as saying that type of dialogue is beyond the difference between passive and aggressive or direct and indirect. Like I think that when you get to that level, that is like destructive type
it's
shit.
sabotage.
You're sabotaging yourself. You're telling
and it's
yourself.
for relatability. That's why
okay.
they do it. Just let you know. It's the same reason why streamers pretend like they don't have hundreds of $1,000s worth of change.
Hassan just bought the house.
Like,
I'm not trying to like start a beef or anything.
Yeah, you're not a commoner.
It's a stunning estate.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Nigga's not a commoner, bro.
Yeah, but he's like trying to act like he's a simple guy.
Yeah, he's
right?
like an entertainer.
Yes.
Like Will Smith got away with it for a very long time too. Like Will Smith made his career from being relatable on TV shows. Like those are emotions we can relate to. He's going through things that we all have been through. Mm-hmm. But then like it reaches a point where like you're a celebrity for so long that you don't even know no more what it's like to be regular.
Yeah.
And then it's like people start to sense that. You feel me? And I noticed that before all the Jada embarrassment tour that she's been going on for the past few years, but I've noticed it.
If you watch the Venus Serena thing, you can tell it too, because he's trying to act like a broken down father, and I'm like, bro, it screams Will Smith.
I didn't watch that one yet. Yeah.
It just screams Will Smith to me. I'm like, bro, you're Will Smith. Like you can't. Like I can't.
Stop it.
I can't buy into this facade anymore, bro.
Yeah, maybe part of it is sabotage. There's a chance. I know just from being a content creator, the need to also be relatable to your audience. You feel me?
Yeah. No.
So part of me felt like it was supercharged by that. Like, come on, don't tell everyone they want to be lazy, but people want to be accepted as they are, and some people are just fucking lazy.
Yeah.
But you should know that laziness is a horrible trait to have.
It's a horrible trait.
Trait.
That's why it's just a little strange. Yeah. And I think that some of this stuff is because, again, like I said, and these are all concepts. Like this is not like this specifically one. There's no like data to back all this stuff up.
For sure.
But this is just like having a take. I think for women, just because they don't have to be competitive for procreation, that's okay. Mm. And so those ideas that promote that like kind of lazy behavior, it's because for a woman, it doesn't really matter for procreation to actually be fit. She can still procreate. Now, is she going to get Drake? Probably not. But she can still procreate. And the problem with that is if you tell women that it's okay to be lazy and then they wake up to 20 different dudes telling them they're amazing and they're beautiful in every single way and they can make no mistake, well, then you start to believe it eventually. Like you have to, right? From the time you're 18 to 25, everybody is telling you you're amazing and you're not going to believe that eventually.
I'm not gonna lie. A few years ago, I went on a date with this woman I thought actually looked really, really good. I had no clue how I pulled it off. I'll be honest with you. I was surprised in myself. But as we went, the date was like 2-part, but like a lot of it was like we were going past people, like we were interacting with people and things, right? And it blew me away how often she would get compliments from waiters, from strangers, from, it could be a delivery man, it could be an Uber driver. It did not matter. She was getting them left and right. So I immediately clicked for me. It's kind of like content creators. Like if your fans keep coming up to you and they're like, yo, I love you. At a certain point, like it can get to your head. You feel me? If it happens enough times, it might just get to your head. So then it hit me. I think the reason why a lot of women feel like they could just fall back and do the bare minimum and be lazy as like a trait that like you should just tolerate is because like they get celebrated regardless, especially when they're good looking.
Exactly.
When they're good
like say 20 years ago, because like people don't understand that social media, Instagram really started getting traction in 2011. It's 2021, and you just see the cultural difference in just 10 years. I genuinely think in 20 years, people are going to look back at social media just like they did cigarettes. People were puffing them things like it was nobody's business. 30 years down the line, people are getting throat cancer. There's a problem. So I think in 10 years, bro, 20 years, we're going to look back at this era and go, it was wild that we just let our kids get on those apps for hours and hours at a time.
I think it's going to get worse.
Yeah, me too.
I think they're going to throw on headsets and be in virtual worlds.
Yeah, I'm very bullish on the metaverse. Now, I don't know if it's going to be the metaverse, the one that gets popular, but it just looks like it's going in that direction. But look, like when it comes to women and the free like validation, for a woman 20, 30 years ago to get validation, you'd have to put on a nice outfit. You'd have to put in some effort. You'd have to go outside. You'd have to communicate with people, develop good communication skills. And that's how you got compliments and appreciation. Now you can just throw on some sweats or some tights or whatever it may be, take a picture in a mirror, and get all the validation you might need for the day. You know what I mean? So it's like the incentive is different. Like you don't have to go out and be that person. Not only that, but you look at makeup, the ability to go from like a 6 to an 8. You do that every single day, and then all of this stuff is there to trick a man's brain. Like you look at waist trainers and high-waisted jeans, all this stuff is to trick the male brain for validation. And that's all cool, but then you don't have to do the work necessary to get the validation. And that's the most important part about developing the character.
Now, the big question though is, whose fault is that then?
Oh, no. I am very, very against simping. Like just on there all day.
Against what?
Against simping.
Just simping, bro.
Okay.
Just putting your life goals on hold because you're addicted to getting easy access to.
What is? Oh, you trying to?
Fuck! I hate mosquitoes, dog. I'm gonna get this nigga.
Yeah, you gotta get them.
What is your problem? Agent is trying his hardest to get this mosquito, and he actually got him. But I think you can go and finish because you about to say the point that I think.
Where are we going?
You said the simping. You're totally against simping.
Yeah. I think, bro. Look at it like this, and I think that there's an epidemic right now in America when it comes, bro.
This is a real one.
This is real. Okay, so like for guys in general, we're 30% weaker on average than we were like 30 or 40 years ago. And this has been tested from like different physical tests on the average man to find out in comparison.
Physical strength?
Yes, physical strength.
Really?
When you look, bro, it's insane. Sperm count is down 60% in men. 60%.
How do you count that?
I got you. Hold up. When it comes to sperm count's down 60%.
How do they count that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know. Like, but if you look all this stuff up, this stuff is true. So 60%. Men on average have been losing 1% testosterone every single year since 1979. That means me as a 26-year-old man now, I have about 32% on somewhere in there less testosterone in my bloodstream than a man did my same age in 1979. So men are literally becoming weaker. Men are literally becoming like when women go, where are all the real men? We're actually having an epidemic of. I don't want to get into the particulars of what it is, but testosterone in your blood, the number was 1,000. That's what a healthy man would have. And testosterone is linked to libido, it's linked to mental health, it's linked to physical health, recovery, all the ambition. It's linked to all these different things. And so the average number used to be 1,000. The average number in a man now is 250 to 500.
Jeez.
That's insane. That's so when you look at
this in America or in the world?
This is in America. So when you look at men, it's because you put plastic in the ranch. There's going to be a problem. You know, when you take away male spaces where men are supposed to be warriors. Like that's what we've done throughout human history. We've hunted. We've been warriors. We've had a purpose, a goal to go after, and we as men are very purpose driven because what's the other point of working if you don't have somebody or a community to share it with? And because of the alienation, you know, people are just getting stripped from that. I think that's part of the problem. But when it comes to men being men, we're by every measure of what you would consider to be a healthy man we're not looking too good. And when you look at guys ending themselves, potentially this is all linked. Like, so all this stuff goes into working toward, or all of this stuff combines when we talk about what a simp is. Like it's doing anything for female validation and lacking a purpose. Being willing to put your purpose on hold to chase after some woman you know won't give you anything.
Yeah.
Why do you think it is that like so many men desire like female validation or validation all kinds, but specifically from women? Like the need to want to be attractive to just the average woman.
Procreation. It's what we're designed to do. Yeah. Like when it comes down to the basis of it, that's what we do. Like a lot of the things that we do are procreation motivated. Like it's to be the bigger guy, or it's competitive to be the guy that brings home the bacon. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a good thing because it pushes societies forward. And women having standards is also a good thing because that also pushes society forward. So like, and this is something really interesting that I've been thinking about, but women are higher in depression and anxiety naturally. So like, I think that this is all linked to how we got so many good advancements because I can bring home a rabbit, right? And because my wife is higher in anxiety, she goes, and she has to be because she has children. That's probably why women are higher in those negative emotional traits because they have to have children to provide for. So they have to be worried of the future because human children are pretty much useless until like the age of 10 or whatever it may be. So she goes, So she goes, oh, that's a nice squirrel you brought here, but what about tomorrow? What about the next day? And so men start building as motivation. Like women are the motivation for men to build. Women and children are that motivation. So I think that women are here to be the motivation for men to chase after. And to chase after those women, you have to prove that you're the bigger guy. So you have to do something amazing, or you have to do something. And so I just think that us wanting female validation is just natural.
Yeah, I'm in a weird like clusterfuck of that now with AMP, because we do videos where like we try and rizz up from time to time, but it's like I don't know how to explain it, but it's almost like a sport. You feel me? And if you're not good at the sport, actually, not just we personally amongst ourselves couldn't care less, but the internet actually kind of holds you accountable. For some reason, they're like, if they just think you're not attractive. Other men, really. Yeah. But all people, if they just think you're not attractive, they just kind of judge you on it. I have no idea how to explain the phenomenon that is like we dropped a video a few days ago on the AMP channel. It was AMP Love is Blind. It was basically, you watched the show Love is Blind before?
Yeah, I've seen it.
The premise is just there's someone on the other side of the wall, and you basically have to decide to marry them in 2 week span and having just conversations, right? Yeah. So it's an interesting convo. Even the show is as fake as it is, like, there's plenty of drama. It went super viral, right? But like, we just did our own rendition of it, and in my head while I'm shooting the video, I'm like, bruh, I really don't want to be talking to these women. Like, we just got models from some modeling agency. I have nothing in common with these women at all. I'm just doing it because I don't want to be
the whole thing. God,
no, I just didn't want to be in the video. I was like, bro, like I have no interest right now in forcing it because I want to be present. Like, it's an AMP video. I should try my hardest, you know? Yeah. But I knew that there were gonna be comments that were like, wow, Agent has no riz. Like, this is very sad. And I'm like, dog, like, bro, like, anyway, I've been finding all of that fascinating, you know what I'm saying? And I see guys, it's almost become like a sport in the house. And some people are better at it than others. Some people are way more motivated at it than others. I know people in my life, not in the AMP house, but just spend like a lot of time in their day on like their Instagram DM requests, just like filtering. Because, you know, you don't do it like you used to. Yeah. Nowadays, especially if people know of you online, you just scroll through your Instagram DM requests and you have like just woman after woman just reaching out to you saying, just for men. So I've seen some of your videos before. I might not always agree with the take, but I think the thing that's fantastic about YouTube for me is that you can have your opinion and you're allowed to, and that it should be celebrated. Because I think having different opinions is how we move shit forward. I think just trying to nice the conversation and end it is awful. I mean, it's awful. And I've been seeing that happen more and more on other platforms like Twitch. But on YouTube, they've been pretty open about things. So you mentioned some content creators like Timcast and Ben Shapiro. Those are both people that have YouTube channels. You feel me? I feel like your voice is kind of necessary. And even if someone doesn't agree with like a specific thing you said, like, what's wrong with hearing it? Yeah,
that's the part. Like, and that's what I do. But like, people, I try to have takes and I do the research to try to, like, because I'll have an idea and then I'll try to do some research behind it to see, does it have any like legs to it? Yeah, or what are we doing? So like, with a lot of the cons, like with the things I say, they're takes. Like, you don't have to be offended because somebody has an opinion. You can educate them on why it might be wrong and we can have a discussion. But I think that's one of the reasons why, like, everything is so polarized. Because unlike, like, and this is one of the problems with social media, unlike in the real world, you can't get stomped out for making a comment on social media. So people communicate in ways that they would never communicate in person. And I think that this is a big problem when it comes to the polarization, because people are not communicating how they would honestly.
You think the internet like makes things more polarizing?
Yeah, I absolutely do, because the algorithms give you things that you're interested in. So if you're interested in red pill content, you're only going to hear that side. You're never going to hear the female side of it. And what happens is, after enough validation that this idea might be right without anybody going against it, you just instinctually feel like you eventually start to identify with it. Like, it becomes literally a community that you are a part of, that you identify with. And so when you go over to the other side, especially on a social media platform, it's all yelling. It's all just throwing rocks at each other instead of people actually having like genuine discussions. And that's really weird about that.
I'm happy you brought it to the red pill community, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we troll a bit on online or with it. How do you feel about? Let me just ask you. How do you feel about the red pill community or the alpha male community or things like that? I'll be split sometimes. I'll be really split. I'm really, really, really split on it.
Yeah, I think it's necessary. I just think that when people aren't good at articulating the ideas sometimes, because they're already seen as taboo in 2022 to even say, when they aren't good at articulating, or they're too focused on trying to be entertaining or trying to step past the boundary. Because there's a line, and the closest you can get to that line without stepping over it, the better you tend to do, because people are interested in that. Sure. Sometimes they get wrapped up and they want the views, and then they step over that line, and that's when you get in trouble from everybody. So I just think that it's necessary, but some people... So I don't know how to explain it. Some people just go so far into the misery part, the aspect of using it as an attack instead of a defense. The information is so that you go out into the world and like see things a little differently and orchestrate your reality in that direction. Because if you're spending all your money on women that aren't interested in you specifically, well, then you are missing out on a lot of opportunity. And I think that's necessary to be told. I think you should tell somebody that, but if they only hear that and they only do that, sometimes it can lead to dudes being in a very dark place, especially dudes that have had bad situations with women, which right now, there's a lot of guys like that.
Bro, I had a stream where people on Discord were telling me the last thing they said to their ex, and it's some down bad moments, dog.
Yeah.
I got hella clips.
Okay.
Because it was some down bad moments. But a few of them mentioned to me, like, they started watching videos. I'm kind of curious how you feel about, like, not necessarily pickup videos, but, like, maybe, like, self-help videos. Do you feel like, because I noticed there's been, like, a trend recently of just kind of, like, shitting on self-help. I feel like that's coming a lot from people who've already, like, went through that, like trial and tribulation in their life. But do you feel like there's any merit to those? And it could be like any form of self-help. It could be like weight loss, or guys who feel like they don't have a lot of they don't have a lot of success with women and shit like that. Would you ever recommend somebody watch videos to do that stuff? Or like, what kind of advice would you provide? Because I'm a little curious.
I think that especially on YouTube, one of the best parts is it's like informative. So if you want to lose weight and you go to videos that talk about weight, hopefully in that video, they also teach you something about actually losing weight. And they're not just like, you can do it, you can blah, blah, blah. Well, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? I can do it, but what are we doing? Like, you got to count calories. You got to take this amount of steps a day. You got to do this, you got to do that. When it's just pure motivation and nobody actually giving you anything to hold on to, that can be seen as I don't know, because I'm really not, I don't want to go all the way into it, because I'm not a part of the self-help necessarily thing. I just give takes. I just give an opinion on things, and people can, like you said, people can accept that or they can ignore it, but that's just what I do. So when it comes to the self-help stuff, like I like it because I think it gives you a little bit of motivation, but you have to want to help yourself. A self-help video ain't gonna make you actually help yourself. You have to want to do that.
But that's a problem.
Yeah.
The problem is that there's so many people who actually, and I'm trying to be very careful what I'm saying as well, because I think most people who try to do self-help things probably do it in a positive way. Like they're actually actively trying to change something. But the problem is, even, and it's the reason why I'd be split on the red pill community sometime, and I guess the alpha male talk, is that you get to this point where it's like you talked about in the beginning, like how media works and how people just see something working and they keep going back to that over and over and over again, where you kind of lose yourself, and it's like you might have began this whole thing with self-help, but now look at like what you're actually producing. I don't think a lot of people do that. But what happens is that I think there's a community of people on both sides. I think both men and women, there's a community of people who believe and tell themselves that they may have even identified the problem that they have, and in their attempt to address the problem can either be taking accountability for the problem that they put themselves in so they can fix it, or B, trying to find out. So like you're the reason why this is XYZ.
Yeah.
And so when I think in terms of women, I think it's pretty identifiable, like what people try to do. Like every single time, I mean, we all react to the videos where like the woman is blaming the man for doing da, but it's like, but you chose him. So like, what are we doing right now?
Yeah.
And you stayed with him all that throughout this stuff. But the reason why the red pill community kind of trips me out sometimes is because you know for a fact, like the audience that you're garnishing is looking for an answer, and like you're purposely trying to pick upon not the guidance in the direction of how to fix the answer, but these systematic or ancillary pieces around your life that may be causing it. And so that's what you're so easily focused on. And I think that's also easier content to gravitate to as an audience member, because then at that point, you don't have to say, hey, the reason why I don't have this job, or the reason why I'm not attracted to women, or the reason why I'm still at home with my mom is because XYZ, because women this, the economy that like, you just find the excuses, and some of them may actually be valid.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, bro, these excuses going to exist. Like, you got to just figure this shit out. Like, you have to find a way around doing this.
That's what everything is. Yeah.
That's literally what life is. Like, there's always going to be hurdles in life. So you're going to have, sure, we identified the hurdle, but at some point, are we going to then identify the way to get over it?
Yeah.
Because if not, then you're going to sit here and just look at the hurdle and just say, yeah, there's a hurdle right there. And it's like every day. And even to credit to a lot of content creators, because some of them try to explain to people how to get over the hurdle. I've just noticed that the audience member, and we talk about this a lot on Playback, where at the end of the day, the way that social media itself is user generated. So it's like whatever y'all keep clicking on at the end of the day, that's what's going to keep popping up on your feed.
Yeah.
So if you keep clicking on the videos that make it easier for you to accept who you are as a person and all the flaws and all the bad decisions that you made, that's what you're going to keep watching, and that's what you're going to keep gravitating to. And it's the reason why a lot of y'all shit, you ain't really changed that much as a person. You're the same person you was 6, 8, 10 months ago. You're the same dude and woman. And that's the thing that really bothers me. And I think, though, instead of identifying that, if your really, really true purpose in the community is to help people, I think there needs to be a moment where you kind of pause and say, hey, those type of videos we need to kind of get away from and kind of focus on the actual solutions, which is something that on Playback, I know we talked about, where we're trying to slow down on relationships talks and more so identify with, like, let's be clear, we can shit on women or do whatever we want to do fun, but you still, as a man, you still ain't doing what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
Let's get that clear. So let me get on your ass for a second for these next couple of videos, because you ain't really doing shit either.
Yeah.
So I think that's the wake up call that needs to be had in the red pill community, from my perspective.
But see, here's the thing though, like, so on a video, average video, I get 100,000 viewers. It's 1,000 comments. Think about a person that comments, and this isn't any knock to anybody that likes to engage with content and wants to comment and like, and they should do that for this video right now. But subscribe. I just think that, like, out of all those 100,000 people, you get 1,000 people that comment, and those are the people that are going to be the most invested into what's happening.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, those are already gonna be the niche of people that are more that way. Like the guy that's driving the truck all day, that's just listening to the video, might hear, "Oh, Jada Pinkett's a narcissist. This is what narcissists do. Oh, my girlfriend is kind of doing that too. Let me just watch out for that." So it could be that too. There could be a lot of people that it's helping, but they just don't comment. And the people that comment, you got to think of what, like, he's typing something. Yeah, for sure. For nobody to see. For sure. For the most part. But the reason, so, like, you already have to be a specific kind of person to. And that's fair enough. But the reason why I enjoy your content and even MTR's content is that even when we're identifying that, like the Jada thing, it's still in the video. It's like, hey, but Will, you want to figure it out, like, everybody else in the world knows. We can go on with Jada all day, but hey, Will, you're gonna figure this out. Yeah. So that's the reason why I enjoyed it. That's the only reason I enjoy yours. MTR does that a great job as well. I think Abba and Preach, they do a fair job balancing that shit out too. Because it's like, bro, we can bag on this all day, but like, what exactly are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing to make sure this doesn't become a reoccurring thing? Because if it is, then it's like, well, then y'all both wrong. Y'all both in the wrong. Because at that point, you ain't changing. How am I going to tell a woman that, or like in the video, if I'm reacting to it, that she needs to leave a relationship if she's with a guy that's hitting her upside the head, giving her knuckle sandwiches? But like when it comes to Will Smith, I can't tell him that he needs to leave his relationship. Exactly. Like he's responsible for that to some degree. Like you decided to out your family information, and this is what happens when you do that online. Like, and that's the interesting thing. Like when you were talking about just celebrities trying to transition into this stuff, is they don't understand that everything isn't. They're used to a world where everything is scripted. where you go in, this is what you say, interviews 15 minutes, we get to chop it up, put in the parts we like, take out the parts we don't. So you could control your image a little better. Now everybody's just dumping everything they're doing in their lives on social media. It's going to be totally different. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, Will is really likable, but I mean, when you dump all of your private information online, or when your wife is slanging ad revenue, signing deals with Facebook, I mean, you're going to have some problems. Like, that's one of the things about the content is it incentivizes negative behavior. And that's like the first thing. Like, another thing with communication is, for the first time in human history, people are incentivized to do negative things. If you were doing that in your community, you'd be an outcast. People would make fun of you. Mm-hmm. But you do that stuff online, and you're going to have 10,000 people telling you, cool, bro, or whatever, that's hilarious, or whatever. Like, these, the put them in the coffin dudes, or the dudes that be just stealing stuff out of stuff. I'm like, bro, that's not okay. But they have a whole community that incentivizes them to do negative behavior.
That's what gets interesting, too, though, because I'm like, man, I would never have thought that there's that many people who are, like, okay with shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, that, like, literally, because, like, well, it may be just because of my experience, but when I see people like on IG and TikTok, especially over the past like 5-6 years, like annoy like workers at like retail stores, I'm like, bro, like how the fuck do y'all find it entertaining?
Yeah,
and I'm a part of me. I'm like, maybe that's coming from me as a retail worker, knowing that I would not want to be fucked with for somebody else's enjoyment, right? But then it's also like, I didn't have to be a retail worker to come to that conclusion. Like, just morally speaking, I wouldn't be going around recording myself fucking with somebody to the point where it's like obnoxious. Like, I like that. That's weird to me. But even with like, that is interesting with the media. Like social media.
And so we've dove into this new thing that we know nothing about. We're guinea pigs. We're just putting children in there. Forget about it. Who cares? These girls they're just repeating, like you said, prawn is becoming more and more. More and more kids are using it because they have access to it. You can. I remember you had to pop in a DVD in the boiler room or wherever you're going.
DVD is crazy.
Like, bro, you'd have
DVD
to.
DVD is crazy.
You'd have to wait.
Nah,
y'all didn't have to wait. Y'all 25.
Yeah, I just had the internet at 06, and that's it. I was before, like, I didn't get a chance to buy DVDs.
Yeah, well, you didn't.
No, I had DVDs, just not prawn ones. I had burnt DVDs of movies I wanted to watch.
Yeah, well, you pop in that, and then you'd have to turn the volume all the way down so your mom doesn't walk into you.
No, mine was BET and Comedy Central after like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. They would put on Girl Gone Wild or some shit like that, or BET Uncut or some shit like that, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to turn that fucking volume down." Nelly about to start speaking to me with this tip drill song. I know we turn it all the way down. But yeah, you're right. That was like literally quite frankly, the only option that you will ever have.
Yeah.
And what's weird is that I don't know. There's things that I fight for because I think that just having the opportunity and options, especially with the internet, it definitely puts people in a very special position.
Yes.
But then it's also like, bro, like sometimes y'all be dragging that shit.
Yes.
Like y'all dragging it.
It's a tool. But the thing is, for like humans, we tend to lean to the side of self-sabotage. Like we create planes, this beautiful thing. You can travel across the globe. You have family members in Africa. You can see them in the same day. That's an amazing thing. 10 years later, we're dropping bombs out of them in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah. That's just what, like, it's a beautiful thing.
But why,
but
though?
It's because we're just crazy? People.
You know, I learned, random fact, to derail this convo. I know people hate when I do that. You know, America does not think the next nuclear explosion is going to happen from a plane. It's going to be a handheld device.
Really?
Yeah. Because, like, you could shoot it out the air in a plane now. Like, there's, especially because America's so far from all the other countries. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just learned that. So now I got nervous.
You know what's interesting, though? China's been working on hypersonic missiles.
That's fucked.
Hypersonic nuclear missiles. You can't even shoot them down quick enough.
Bro.
So like we're getting to the point where China's flying hypersonic missiles.
Yeah, sorry to derail the convo. Back on point. You mentioned earlier that you felt like the red pill community was necessary.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that way?
I agree though. I agree with that too. I agree.
I feel that way because there are a lot of guys that need to have an honest conversation with themselves. Mm-hmm. They're being told that it's okay to do whatever in terms of not being productive for humanity and society. Mm-hmm. And in turn, they're not being selected as mates. Mm-hmm. Not only that, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes into the reason why America's essentially becoming polygamy. Like it's essentially becoming a horrible version of polygamy with, you talk about, but there's a lot of guys that just need an honest conversation with themselves that they're not having because everybody's telling them it's okay. Mm-hmm. And guys, we know instinctually, we know that you want to be productive and you want to do things that are great. Mm-hmm. And you want to, and you want to be able to even have relationships with women. Like that's a huge motivation for a lot of the people that watch the videos. But you're not having an honest conversation as to why a woman would ever want to be with you. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully at some point you go, okay, women like this. I got to do this. I want to try this. And hopefully this will land me a girlfriend. But that means you have to then improve yourself at some point.
Yeah, that's how I took it. When I was in university, like it came automatically. I was in good shape, but also I was on campus. So like everybody was having sex just basically.
Yeah.
And you run around so many people that are like you that it just feels like it's automatic. Then I dropped out and gained like 160 pounds. And I remember I told myself that it was my choice. The reason that I'm not dating because like I don't really have time.
Yeah,
like So I told myself one day I got bored. I went on Tinder. Tell me how I got one match all night. I'm not even sure it was a real person. And then it hit me. Low-key, I felt really bad that night. But then the next day I was like, dog, I should probably do something about this. Because it's like, you don't want to be in that state forever.
No.
You feel me? And not even to impress anybody else, but because like, you kind of feel like you failed.
Yeah. And that's, oh, my bad.
Yeah. And I've succeeded in so many things the past couple of years. I'm like, there's no way I'm about to fail this thing.
Yeah.
So I kind of just took it upon a challenge to get better, like mentally and physically. And so I spent like the past few years doing that across like all my channels. But like, that's how I took it, at least. That's how I took it, as like a challenge. Like, okay, like I want to be more desirable. I definitely want women to look at me and be like, oh, okay, that's somebody I can see myself spending time with. Not like,
yeah.
yeah, not one of them right there. But I took it as a challenge, and it was a fun challenge because like you learn a lot about yourself during the process. But the more I talk to men, the more I realize too that a lot of them is like socially awkward now.
Yeah, well, that's all their communities are online, if they have any.
So, but they're like nervous, and the stories I hear from some people, man, I'm like,
it's crazy.
Like, how you put yourself in that situation?
Yeah, and it's like you're talking about dudes that again they have less testosterone, less ambition on average than they did 60 years ago, 40, 50 years ago. And so you're dealing with a specific type of guy. And it's hard if you're not very ambitious to do the things necessary to actually have a girl. Mm-hmm. Like it's actually, especially now with promiscuity. Bro, did you know that this is the first time in American history where women have more, or from 18 to 24 have more bodies than men do? From 18 to 24, women average about 6 partners in that age range. Men average 2. 30% of men from 18 to 30% are sexually inactive.
Yeah, I've seen that.
30%. Well, maybe that's over a lifetime, but the amount of in terms of promiscuity with women, this is the first time in human history or in American history where women are more promiscuous from 18 to 24 than men.
Interesting. Now I'm just surprised about that number so low, 6 from 18 to 24.
Yeah, I think that's
one a year.
That is one a year. Actually,
but that's if you expect somebody to tell the truth about it. Like who's going to do that?
Yeah.
But no, one a year.
It depends on the research methods. But
you even ask women, they'll tell you, "Well, I didn't count him because he was blah blah blah."
Yeah, I just gave him head. That doesn't count.
Well,
that was just only lasted 2 minutes. It doesn't count.
The number of men who are, I guess, I don't, and the number of men, which you said was like, I think you were the first person I heard that from, where it's like 50% are just not having sex, like not interacting between 18 to 30.
That's real?
Yeah, bro. 30. Bro,
I've seen several articles.
Yes, these are real. This is a real thing, bro.
What's the stat?
It's 30% of men from 18 to 20, or to 30% of men from 18 to 30 are sexually inactive, meaning they don't have any partners.
Damn.
Right? And that's the guys that, you're not including the guys that got lucky. The guy that just had one thing that happened in that time. Was that another 20%, 15%? Mm-hmm. Like if we're just being realistic, like it has to be some percent. Mm-hmm. So we're dealing with a situation where we have fewer men that are invested into society. That's a problem. And that's one of the biggest problems with polygamy, and that's the direction we're going in. If I'm if I'm a chief of a tribe, there's 50 men, 50 women, 100 people in the tribe, 50 men, 50 women, and I take all the women because I'm the chief and all the women want to be with me. What incentive do the other 49 men have to go hunt? What incentive do they have to protect? So when you talk about China's knocking on the door, who's going to answer it? 30% of these guys are going to go, what am I fighting for?
Yeah, no, this country is very unpatriotic, like crazy.
It's strange. Like, where are you going to go that's a better place for opportunity?
I'm not going to lie to you. The people that were born here, some of them take this for granted like crazy. Bro, I'm from Canada, so I love Canada with a passion. I'm gonna move back to when I get my money up. But if you're a person who has ambition and or loves freedom. There's actually not many countries like this in its vastness. Like I went to Aspen, bro. I was mind blown. Everywhere I looked was a fucking like a flick. Like just the mountains in the back, bro, was a vibe. And then you go to Arizona, straight desert. And then you go to like the forest, and then you could go up to like Seattle and like depression, right? And then go to New York, and then right. So it's like, but the point is like I love a lot about this country, and I've been to so many parts of it. But a lot of people just, I mean, it is what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't like convince somebody. I think some people just have to travel more.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like, bro, if you have a car and a house, you're within the top 5% of the richest people on the planet.
Yeah.
We have people that are in the hood with Chargers, Camaros, right? Like these are our worst. Like these are our worst off people. We have fat homeless people. We have like drinkable bath water here. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Pizza in 20 minutes. Yeah. Get over it. Like
100%. I actually agree with like the self accountability. I've actually like leaned back from like doing that with my audiences across my channels, mainly because like sometimes it's not received well. Just because like it's like, oh, that's rich of you to say, agent. You came from the suburbs of Toronto. And I'm like, I guess, but my dad was a taxi driver. My mom didn't work. It's not like I was rich growing up. You know what I'm saying? There's lucky circumstances where we moved into an area and it became a rich area. Like we just moved in there first. But the point is like, I think the voice is still necessary, even though I'm not doing. I think other people stepping up to do that and remind other men that like, yo, bro, you could come up with excuses, dog. But like, it's upon you if you want to put shit together and bootstrap your life, because that's what you did. You got injured playing rugby, and then most people would just like fucking sit there and like watch some Netflix series and burn the clock until your injury got better. Yeah. But then you found some other shit that you wanted to do because like you wasn't content with just like being just chilling at home waiting for your injury to get better to play rugby for free. Yeah. So I feel like that type of ambition is like good for the country, one, but also for like your mental health. Yes. I feel like if you just stay like this, you're bored. Yes. You kind of have to be moving towards an objective. And that's what people are doing. They don't have a purpose. Like, so they're indulging in quasi happiness, which is pleasure. That's what people are doing. Like for happiness, for fulfillment, for genuine fulfillment, everything you have to do takes struggle. For you to feel good about something genuinely, it takes a little struggle. Like if you put out 1 million episodes and then finally you get one that does well, that feels good because you've worked hard for it. And that feeling has longevity. But when you're just trying to get that feeling without putting in the work, it's just pleasure. And so you have people overindulging in alcohol, overindulging in food, overindulging in entertainment, overindulging in all these different areas. And they're sabotaging themselves, and they're doing it because they want pleasure. You go to work and you don't make a livable wage, you get a little sad. So you come home after 8 hours or 10 hours, and who wants to start carpentry? You want to watch some TV. Like, you're not finna be in that motherfucker welding. Like, so you want to watch a little TV and relax. So it's like all a part of this whole thing. So like for the people that are less ambitious, I get it. Like it is tough. It is tough. Like I do want to be that voice. Like it's tough because of this. Inflation's up 15%. All 30% of all the US dollars ever created were created last year. It's tough. We get it. That was so crazy. I had to fact check it 3 times. Yeah. Just to be sure that it was real. Yeah. That's an insane stat, bro. 30% of the bills in human history in 1 year. And the country's been here for 400 years. Think about that. Fucking wow. Like imagine, you know how you look at your analytics and you see a spike because of good video? Yeah. That's what it would be like. And you know what's fucked up? We had a stripper on this podcast and she told us when the PPP loans hit, like the strip clubs was crazy. Like people was throwing bands. Yeah. Which means that people got their loan money. They had to pay like, let's say you get 10,000, you pay back maybe 1,000 of it. So that's like 9,000 free dollars. They went to the strip club with it. Yeah, but that's the thing though. Like when it, I guess you're giving back, but like, that's why you can't be simple. And these are the same dudes in the comments, by the way. Like shows like Fresh and Fit, they did a thing where they had somebody, or actually I think they were on No Jumper, and they was talking about when girls would come on their show, they would blow up. Like they would, like they go back to OnlyFans and they have like 1,000 new people or whatever it may be. The numbers were these are the same people that are like F you, whatever. And I think like when it comes to the money aspect, it's because, bro, you have to develop the skills to have money, to maintain money. It comes with certain skills, and those skills are created from doing the things necessary to get the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you give people just a handout, like if you look at lottery winners, they're miserable. They end up dying, or they end up homeless, or
like they end up in bad situations because they got the money without doing the work and character development to actually maintain it. So, you know, like when you get that money, you just trick it off. And people think that if they got a free check or a free handout, it's just going to change their situation when really you got to be financially conscious. Like 68% of people making over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck.
Say it one more time.
68% of people making over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck.
I'm surprised that it's not
you're talking
more.
about personal revenue, right?
Yes.
I'm surprised that it's not more though.
Yeah, but people are like, it's like people have sold or have bought the idea that they can just buy their happiness, and that's kind of what our media has been teaching us. We've been kind of programmed to believe that we can buy happiness. So people have abandoned family. They said, "Who cares about kids? We can just get an outfit.
I just buy it.
Let's go buy some Air Force Ones. Like, what are we doing?"
I think that's just been kind of like the concept of like how like capitalism has been pushing America in general. So I think and people are buying into it. The thing that bothers me though is that anytime that like somebody like tries to sit down there and say like, "Hey man, you probably shouldn't do that," it's like then a slew of people saying, "Bro, why are you trying to mess up his fun?" And it's like, man, I'm trying to like make sure he don't blow shit. Which is when you said about the rugby thing about community, I do think that's like one of the biggest things that people across the board, especially like black people, like communities is fucked. Like I don't even understand the concept of community anymore, where you can't even advise somebody on what they should or shouldn't be doing without there being backlash. I understand maybe the dialogue between both parties can be there, but it's like community. Like the concept of community right now does not even exist, and I actually do believe that's probably the biggest. To me, that's my theory. My theory is that the biggest problem with a lot of people, and it doesn't matter if it's women, men, what race, age group, or whatever. I think there's not enough community. I think too many people will either put themselves in echo chambers to where like I say something, so I just put myself around a bunch of other people who say the same thing, or it's too many people who just think that they're like smarter than the people before them or whatever, and they just think that they're going to figure it out without actually bridging the community left like to one another. And to be fair, I think the older community can be like that as well, where I'm just smarter than you without acknowledging how much the world has changed. Yeah. So I think, but community to me, from how I was raised in some respects to how it is now, and I'll take culpability for it as well, because I don't think I'm as communicative with my family as they were when I was growing up. Right. But yeah, community to me is like by far the biggest downfall. Yeah. By far, and I don't even think it's close. But that's like one of like with capitalism, when it comes to like the thing about it now that makes it so different. Like throughout human history, we've always had like kings and conquerors, people that wanted to dominate. Absolutely for no reason. That's just what they want to do. They get an army and just say, go north and kill everything in that direction. And then we're going to start there. Right? So those people still exist. They just own companies. They own corporations. And the thing about now that's very, very special is for the first time ever, they might actually be able to do it because of a technological advantage. Right? So like these companies, back when Henry Ford was a thing, like he had to make his community better because his brand was there. Like in Detroit or wherever he was doing the car manufacturing, he would have to pour back into that community of people and be present in that community and be an active member, because that was the community that was working in his factory. So you want to have a good communication, but these companies don't have that anymore. It's global. So once they drain America dry by separating us and telling us that you can buy things, that you can buy happiness, they're going to go to the next consumer, and that's China. So they're almost in themselves their own countries, and that's what. And this is just me, just like kind of just looking at it from the outside, looking at. But that's looking like where it's going. We're going to get drained dry, and then they're going to move on to the next consumer. And what's going to be left is people that have no purpose. They don't have family. They don't have anything but just trying to buy happiness from consumerism. And so, like, I think that the separation of communities, I almost want to say it seems as if it might be like a thing, like as in somebody purposely was trying to do that.
No, it's definitely purposeful. Like every decision that's made. You worked at Walmart, you know, like the end shelves are super expensive. The very middle shelf is super expensive. Like the smartest people on the planet get together and like they fucking mischievously put together planet. Like
we're together. We're together. Like, like, are you trying to tell me these people don't communicate? And if I say they do, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, oh, no, it's insane, man. I'm honestly like, there's a lot of shit that I see in the world. You ever watch John Oliver's show?
No.
John Oliver has a show, and he just every week he just talks about a problem. Like, and he dives deep into it, and he's very critical, and he usually has like a crazy finale where like he does like a grand gesture. And you watch enough of those in a row, and you're like, man, there's a problem with everything.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what it is, it could be the smallest thing. It could be like the drain in your sink, and there's a huge problem with the way it works and how it could catastrophically get worse. Feels like we're just kind of getting by, but even though we're just kind of getting by, I feel like we're in the most peaceful time, like ignoring what just happened in Ukraine, obviously. But like that could get way worse though. And so like, I don't know. I just always feel like I'm in a state of, this is a pretty good situation. So I at least want to like be super grateful, you know, cause I've been around the world. I've definitely been in Ethiopia, and there's more sense of a community there, but man, it just hurt to see people like cleaning shoes for like one beer, which is like 10 cents.
Yeah.
You got to clean a lot of shoes before you can be straight for the day.
Yeah.
And most of the time they're not. So it's like, you just have to be so fucking grateful, man.
Yeah, man. And like when we talk about like community and like negative and like giving criticism and being a person that's actually trying to help people, that's something that we have to fix amongst the black community, bro. Like getting, like the problem is like, we want to do these things that are better for our community, but our community, they worship the men that are part of the problem. You know what I mean? Like, we worship the men that are part of the problem in our community. We don't talk about the average Joe that's just trying to get by, like trying to take care of his family. It's always the rapper. I mean, we had Cardi B talking to the president of the United States as our representation.
Which is crazy.
When that happened?
Insane. Wow. Joe Biden, I'm not sure. It was before Joe Biden got into office.
They did the same thing with Trump. It's like, why is Kanye talking to Trump?
Funny?
Like, what the fuck
Chappelle was talking
going on?
about this 2 decades ago, where he was criticizing people like putting celebrity on a pedestal. It's like, why do y'all give a fuck what Ja Rule has to think about like a
foreign policy?
Yeah.
Like, what do we do?
Like, why do y'all care? Yeah. Or even when I see like, even y'all notice T.I. is doing stand up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why does T.I. think that he can do stand up? And then why am I being told that T.I. is doing stand up? And why am I then supposed to give a fuck that T.I. is doing stand up?
Yeah.
Like, he's T.I. Like, he's an excellent rapper. But then even when I hear him, I'm like, bro, that nigga's trash.
You heard
like,
his comedy?
Yes. Matter of fact, he actually got booed.
I saw that.
Like overwhelmingly booed in the state.
I kind of want to hear his comedy though.
He rushed the stage very recently.
Not he rushed the stage, but then
that's why he got booed.
No.
I just know he did that. I don't know if that's
but there's a he was like, I don't know. It wasn't that. It was like a stadium.
No, I know, but the reason he got booed at the stadium is because everyone saw the clip of him rushing the stage.
Oh, okay.
With the small comic, and they're
I thought they were just booing his joke because they let him.
It could have been a bad joke too, but like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think it's a combination of things, but I commend him for trying comedy.
No, he can try, but it shouldn't be plastered to me like T.I. is trying comedy. Like,
and it's probably detrimental though, because he's still in the working phase. You got a lot of kinks to work out. Let the dude get the bad stuff out, and then eventually he'll be good at it. Hopefully, if you know. But
hopefully,
yeah. There's always that. I know people that still make rap. They still rap in their 30s.
Yeah.
So,
this is the point I want to make. I don't know. How old are you, for example? Like
26.
Okay, so maybe you remember it. There was a show back in the day on BET called Hip Hop versus America or America versus Hip Hop. You might not remember it. But the premise of the show was like they basically canceled Nelly. Like, they got Nelly the fuck out of here. And this really stopped his momentum. And it was because of like tip drill and shit like that. And BET Uncut. T.I. was on it. Like, it was basically the concept of men being held accountable. And the YouTube videos, it's on YouTube. It's like a 5 or 6 parter. And the end result out of it that made a massive change is that men are being held to the standard in hip hop that they are creating music videos where women are just shaking their ass and they're degrading women. Yeah. And then T.I. in there says, like, it's not like we putting a gun to their head. So, like, what are y'all talking right now? Like, they're making that decision as well. They just got him the fuck out of there. Nelly's whole like stardom slowed down immediately. And then from that day on, if you go back and just watch hip hop music videos, they changed drastically. Fast forward, like, I want to say maybe like 6 years, like 6 to 8 years later, fucking twerk team or whatever they called start uploading on YouTube.
Yeah.
Where they're getting a camera phone on their own. And this is before like this is even popular. They're one of the very few people put it on a fucking desk or a tripod and start shaking their ass on their own and upload it to YouTube. So then what I realized, like, from that moment to where we are now, like, why was it that crazy for anybody to just hold somebody else accountable, or even both parties accountable? And even when that was happening, it was like, no, you don't know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about. You're fucking dumb. And who knows? So, and this is somebody who's actually in the industry, somebody who's an actual artist who probably would know way more about what's happening behind the scenes than you do. Like, so why was that not even listened to? Yeah. So then we get to where we are right now, and if like anybody were to ever even say, like, yo, y'all should probably not, degrade yourself like that, it's an instant, like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. Even though 8-10 years ago or 20 years ago, however long ago, we were literally telling men not to do the exact same thing and just allow women to just do it to themselves. Yeah. Which is the most interesting thing to me, because then it's like, all right, so if we had community at the point where we were willing to hold this group of people accountable, why the fuck does that no longer exist when like the problem kept persisting over the years to hold somebody else accountable? Which is just weird to me. The inconsistency, especially in the black community, is weird as hell. It's weird, bro. It's weird.
And it's crazy because what is the most insane about our community? Well, one thing that's crazy is the fact that we essentially worship money, but we know nothing about it. As a whole. That's insane to me. Like, if you go and worship money, at least figure out how to save some of it or whatever. But a person that is disciplined in our community is seen as a negative thing. Like, if I have like traditional family values, and this is why a lot of people think that I'm conservative, which hopefully on this show, I just don't like that the left is focusing on things that don't matter. Can we talk about a livable wage? I remember that was the argument on the left. Yeah. Can we talk about healthcare? Like, that was the problems that I was all for. Let's go. Yeah. But now we're talking about gender for 5 years, 6 years straight. Yeah. I'm a pass on it. But like, it's just, if you have traditional family views, you're looked at as a lame. Like, if I don't want my girlfriend shaking her butt on Instagram, I'm looked at as a lame. Yeah. And that's a huge problem in our community. As far like, the women will want a baller, but then they'll also want a man with money. Yeah. Those are contradicting arguments. I'm not going to be a baller if I'm trying to save my hard-earned money.
But they don't know that,
exactly.
Though. That's the problem.
And that's another huge problem. But those things are looked down upon as, like, I remember when I was in college, my first year of college, like, I come from a background lower class, then we transitioned to the middle class. We're doing okay, but I always was financially like trying to do something and go in a direction. So I had a flip phone. I wasn't investing in the social media. I had a flip phone at this time. I'm 17, so this is about 2013 in that time. So people are starting to get smartphones, and I could just see how people were just getting sucked into those things. Yeah. So I wanted to stay out of that. And so I had a flip phone, and people would make fun of me, but I also had a car. And these same people that would make fun of me would ask me for a ride. You have $250 shoes on and a smartphone that's worth $600, and you need a ride to Walmart, which is fine. I know everybody has like tough, but that's a part of prioritizing your money. And our culture pushes men to not prioritize financial literacy. They push men to focus on balling or whatever it might be. And it's just so detrimental to our community. So that's why, like I was saying, we worship the men that are part of the problem in our community. And the thing is, men are evolutionary. Like, and this is it's just, you can look and see it. Men are designed to try to spread their seed into the next generation of people. So if women are sleeping with those men, and those are the men women are prioritizing, you're going to get more men that behave that way, because that's what we do. We change our behavior to give women what they want. That's what we do. And so, like, you got guys that are not even about that life, trying to be that person because he knows that that's his best chance of procreating. And you don't think of it consciously, but this might be, and this is why the red pill stuff is important, because you don't think of it consciously. But if you're a good guy doing something that's crazy like that, you do have to stop and ask yourself, is this really even me? Or am I going to end up doing 20 years in prison because I'm trying to impress some woman at 17 years old, risking my life? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a big part of it. If women started to only date lawyers, doctors, engineers, and whatever it may be in our community,
or even just a regular man who makes 40, 50,000.
Simple. That's
the average, literally the average man.
The average man. We need average women to be with average men, because I believe family. Like, you don't get the Martin Luther King movement without men with families. Without families, you can't finance that without family. So now in the black community, we have a bunch of individuals trying to prove that they don't need one another,
which is also weird.
Very, very weird.
It's also very weird. You know that they actually do.
Yeah, and then but you look at the richest people in the world, and all of them are married or were married for long term.
Yeah.
Right. You look at the richest women. Either they are. If you look at the top 10 richest women, either they're married or they got there because of divorce. If they're not married, right? So like there are women in this bourgeoisie class that are teaching women don't get married, don't do this and just for the sake of entertainment. And some of those people are taking it literally, and they're literally like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna get married. 85% of African American women make $50K or less. Right? So if you get with the guy that's a plumber or working at a factory, he's doing $50K, y'all at $100K now. Now you can actually do things financially. Now you can put money aside for stocks and do whatever, crypto or whatever. You can have those discussions. But if you're struggling every single day because you're by yourself,
Just
how are you ever going to build that?
You're by yourself.
Yes, bro. And like, if you look at the Asian community, they're doing well because they have family. Like they're literally trying to kick Asian people out of Harvard. Like they're discriminating against Asian people because so many of them are applying to get into Harvard that they have to reject a certain amount of applicants because it would just be filled with Asian people. Jeez. Like that's how brutal, like that's how amazing they're doing it. Even if you look at other black categories of people like Nigerians, they come here and they do amazingly well because they have very traditional views and they have a code that they live by, which I think is the most important thing. Like if you look at Jewish people, right? Jewish people represent 0.02% of the world population. 0.02% of the world population, right? 25% of all Nobel Peace Prizes were given to Jewish people. 7 out of the 10 richest people on the planet are Jewish. These people are dominating. Why? Because by Jewish religious law, at the age of 3, you have to start teaching your child mathematics and basic reading and writing. For him to be considered a man, for him to transition to the next part of his life by the age of 11 or 13, somewhere in there, the man has to teach his son a trade, whether that be sales, whether that be carpentry, mechanics, whatever it may be, something that he can create an opportunity with his own hands. And this is something that we had in the 60s that we've kind of lost for university. But those men could create things.
Is that a dying dog?
Something. I heard that.
It might be. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. No, but like it's powerful to teach a boy that he can make his own money. Not only is he going to get focused on that, but the better he gets at it and the more he does it, the more money he makes from it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So from the age of 13, these kids already, they know mathematics and basic reading. Age of 13, they're already getting into a trade. What that means is now after World War II, when they get into these communities, if you need your door fixed, go down to John. If you need your car fixed, go down to Steve. So their money stays in their community because their people have something of value to offer. And I think there's a lot of boys in our community that don't feel valuable because they don't have something that they can create. So they're depending on other people for opportunities. Mm-hmm. So if you teach them a trade early on, they can create their own opportunity. And I think that that's extremely powerful that we just kind of brush over. Mm-hmm. So like by Jewish law, like I'm just bringing that up because they have specific codes that allow for success. Mm. You know what I mean? Like when I was back in, Winona, we have a huge Hmong population.
Monk?
No, Hmong.
What's
like
that?
they're people. I don't want to fit because I know they're gonna hear this, but I want to say Thailand or Laos or one of those Asian countries. I'm not sure, but for some reason there just happens to be a lot of them in Minnesota. I don't know why they decided to stay there. It's cold as shit, but when I would go to school with them, if you're sleeping with a man, you're married. That's it. It ain't no talking all that back and forth. Their family will come and find you if you're not trying to marry their daughter after you slept with her. Mm-hmm. So like for the guys that were like black and white and they trying to do this whole party, promiscuous life, you got to stay away from Asian women or you're going to have somebody at your door. Right? So those traditional values that keep men and women together, I think are extremely important, and having a code, like having something to like live towards. Like, and I think that's one of the biggest most important components of religion is that even if you're a person with low IQ, it gives you a set of rules that allows you to live a life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like don't overindulge in food, don't overindulge in alcohol, teach you certain basic rules that are easily understandable that can at least give you a decent opportunity at having a decent life. Right? A livable, like something that you could be kind of proud of. Treat your wife this way, treat your kids this way, discipline them this way, or whatever it may be. It had that. But now with religion dying, you have a lot of people that are just creating these things. Like they're just believing in the same ideas, but it's just with no merit. It's nothing to hold them down. And I think that's one of the reasons like spirituality is getting so big, is because it doesn't have the accountability.
Yeah.
You can just go, I have a relationship.
It's actually very interesting.
I just have a blah 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 with Christ, and now that churches online, the same people that didn't want to go in because they get criticized for their behavior in church, they just stay and watch it online. Because what those communities did was held you accountable for the things you did. And when you're a person and you want to be better, like every person should be, or what are you doing here if you're not trying to be better at life? Going into those environments and hearing exactly person to person why what you're doing might sabotage your life is truly important. And now people can ignore that because it makes them uncomfortable.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah,
but
bro,
it makes a lot of sense. Though.
But yeah, even I'm Muslim, but like a lot of people tell me that in my religion, there's a lot of rules, and regardless of whether or not you understand the wisdom of the rule, you're just supposed to follow it. Like I have no clue why I'm not supposed to eat pork. I have no idea. I just don't eat it.
Yeah.
But like you also have to pray 5 times a day. But it's throughout the day though. And you might be doing something. So a lot of people I've talked to people who say that's just so restrictive. Almost as if like it was preventing them from like reaching, like almost like it was in the way of freedom. But in my head, I think like, at least in my life, in my experiences, the times that I've exercised discipline, like I've done something consistently, those were the ones where I felt like the most free.
Exactly. And that's what it is. Like to actually do something ever, you're going to have to be disciplined at some point. And that's what people aren't doing, and they're indulging in the pleasure instead to fill that void. That's what I think. All of these are concepts. Like these are just things that I'll look at and like that kind of try to like gauge my content towards and stuff. Like these are just ideas that I have. These are just takes. Like I'm not Jordan Peterson. I'm not a professional doctorate or nothing like. No. But I just think the direction is just really interesting.
It is. And I feel like a lot of it is, you mentioned just like short-term pleasure was the thing that's short-term pleasure.
Like gratification.
Yeah, and then I think long-term, a lot of people are going to pay for the results of that. It's just a shame that I feel like a lot of people have made that error. Like you should definitely have someone in your family, like an aunt, an uncle, just somebody who will warn you that's made a similar error. Like, yo, I was 38 and not thinking about family, but now I really wish I had a family. Like those conversations don't get had. And then it's like people walk into the same mistakes that other people have made. So but I think the beautiful thing about the internet is like, bro, I watch a video and it's like 10 things I should have known before I was 30. And this 30-year-old is now telling me shit that like, oh shit. So like now I'm thinking about it. And I might not even be at that point in my life, but it's on my mind, so I don't make the same errors. So, like, the info is out there to get better. Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you were married. Are you still married?
Yeah.
So, what do you think it is about, like, your relationship with your wife that went so successfully to the point where you want to spend the rest of your life with her?
She reciprocates value. Like, and that's one of the weird things about, like, feminism specifically right now, is it's pretty much incentivizing women to manipulate men, and they're saying it's okay to take advantage of men by taking value from them and not giving anything back, right? So you got to buy me this or that. So when I was 15, my wife, well, she's now my wife, at that time just a girlfriend, when her mom found out that we were in a relationship, I was about to get up to make my own plate, and she said, no, Gabby, you want to be, and that's my wife's name, but you want to be a big girl, you want to have boyfriends, you got to do big girl things, you got to make him a plate. You know what I'm saying? Just to show that I value the things you do in my life. And now I'm going to do this small thing of gratitude to show you how much I value you. That makes me feel good. You know what I mean? So I think that like when she was willing to reciprocate value, it showed that she wasn't just using me. You know what I mean? Like she enjoyed my company and she was willing to do something to show that. It's about the effort. And I think a lot of like the relationship stuff, especially in pop culture with feminism, is teaching women to not show any effort, to not do anything towards a relationship. And that's just what it is. But that's not what a relationship is. You have to, like if I have a bad day or I do something amazing or I do something worth celebrating, she'll get some of my favorite chocolates. Something simple. Favorite chocolates, wine, whatever it may be. She makes my plate every single night. And it's crazy because I've seen conversations, bro, where women will be like, I won't give you wife duties until I'm married. You sleeping with them. Yeah. You living with them. He's getting you draw the line and making a plate. That's where you draw the line.
Which is also odd.
That's very odd.
Where they draw the line, I'm like, oh, really? Like,
so this man's got your face down.
Yeah, all that.
Doing all of that, because we know it happens. Like, we can try to make it seem like it's this, like dudes are talking dirty, doing all this stuff. He's able to do all of that, but you can't make him a plate because really that's wife duties.
It's the husband duties. It's like, so you want him to pay for this, you live in with him, he pays all the bills, but you're not making him. You're not even thinking about making this man a plate until he puts a ring on. It's like, okay, really, like that's what. Like
that's
y'all
crazy.
y'all are already. Not only are you expecting him to do all these other things, if he can't even just expect a plate of food, like come on, like what are we doing here?
And it's crazy because like female promiscuity throughout history in every single civilization, and I don't think that this is by chance, and I think this might be a reason why so many religions in terms of rules are very, very similar, because they teach things that are important for that society to be okay.
Yeah.
Like with like female promiscuity, the reason, like you ask a feminist or from common knowledge now, they'll just go, well, men subjugated women and we drug them like along on this 10,000 year journey where they never wanted to be with us and we were just hitting them the whole time and being abusive and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what makes you think that? Like, you know what I mean? And you look at historically speaking, the reason why promiscuity was shunned was one, because like take syphilis. It was very dangerous, but take syphilis. It's a neurological disease that attacks infants, right? And it was wiping out entire civilizations. So there had to be a rule. Let's stop the women, because women by and large have more, because viruses like moist, warm areas, they tend to carry more viruses because of that reason. And it's just an open area. So when you talk about like female promiscuity, it was dangerous to society for a woman to be promiscuous. Not only that, but when it came to paternity, these women were never selected, because how am I supposed to know that this child is mine if you've been sleeping with everybody in the tribe? You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure my DNA goes into the next generation of human beings. How can I know that if you're promiscuous? Another reason why I was shunned. Another reason why I was shunned is because there was actual risk, like infant mortality or women dying during birth. So like, right now, the life expectancy is going up, and most of that is because infant mortality, actually. So just because less infants are dying at birth, it appears that we're getting a longer lifespan because less infants are dying at birth, because it was such a dangerous process. Now we have penicillin, so that wipes out the whole syphilis thing, and that's by the way, these are inventions by the patriarchy. Now that the patriarchy that hates women, by the way, is the narrative. Yeah. So now we have penicillin. Now we have birth control that takes out two of the risks right there, and there's a societal push for trying to hold women accountable, but even we're taking that away. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the things that made this female promiscuity super dangerous for societies, it wasn't because they were just subjugating women and they didn't want women. It was actual reasons for it. Like women weren't in the workforce, not because men wanted to hold them down and make sure they couldn't have any money. These were manual labor jobs. You weren't typing in AC, right? You're losing a finger or arm because you're doing construction. That's what most of human history was up until the last 60 years, right? And a lot of people have forgotten that, but human history, like it was tough. Like there were people giving birth 200 years ago in Minnesota in negative 10 degree weather. And now we have like heated environments, and now you want to be independent. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like historically speaking, like women weren't in the workforce because from 20 to 30 in that fertile age, or from whatever age they were having children, you had to have children because number one, a lot of people failed because a lot of infants passed away. Not only that, but you had no Social Security. Social Security is very new. It was like 1935 or something like that came out. So in order to have longevity, in order to have somebody to take care of the farm when you got old to be taken care of, you had to have children. That's another reason why women weren't working. But if you ask somebody, it would just be, oh, men subjugated us. They didn't like us. Now we're strong and independent. We can make our own money. And I get that. Do that. But what that's going to do is it's going to make it harder for you to find a guy if you make a lot of money as a woman. So like there's just different aspects of it. When it comes to female promiscuity, there's historical reasons why it has been and still is shunned. It's not just because guys don't like women, right? So there are reasons for it, and I think that part is missed. They don't have that part of the conversation, like, and that's kind of frustrating to me. It just seems disingenuous. Like I don't know. So
you mentioned reciprocating. What your wife does those things for you because like she's happy with you as her partner. But what are some of the things, like what's something that you could advise people if they want to stay in like a healthy long-term relationship? What's some like vital keys to making sure everything is moving along well? When it comes to I think you have to. I think genuinely, I think it's just about appreciation and attention to detail. Like you have to continue to try to impress this person.
You have to continue to try to be a person that is admirable. You have to continue to try to be a person that has principle. You have to continue to try to be a person that shows the people around you that you appreciate the things that they do for you too. And that has to be on the male and female side. It's not just men working slave hours to give you a nice kitchen or whatever it is you want, or a stove or whatever thing. My wife be liking all kinds of weird stuff. My house is filled with stuff because of that's the stuff my wife wants. You ask me, you give me a TV and a bed, I'm fine. But you just have to continue to show appreciation, bro. Like I genuinely think that, but that's what I do in my marriage. Like I just continue to try to go the extra mile to show that I appreciate her. And that isn't going to be every day because life happens. But if you know she had a hard day at work, take her to a okay restaurant or to the movies or something. Like there's $5 movie day in certain towns, and like there's cheap things you can do that shows appreciation. Now you also have to be focused and have a goal, because a woman ain't gonna don't no woman want no man that she could just walk all over and doesn't have a purpose or anything that he's focused on, right? So you have to have that too. But I think just showing appreciation, bro, like genuinely. And I know that seems so simple, but people have lost that because of selfishness. They just want everything. They want people to give them everything without having to give something back. And that's not how you build relationships. Like in just general. Like if I want to build a relationship with y'all, I offer value to you. That's what it means to be valuable. Like I have to be able to offer you value. If you're not offering anybody value, then how can you be valuable? Like, you know what I mean? In that relationship. Or why would I need you if you're not offering me any value? So,
but it's crazy because I think the value of a relationship has been deemed as almost like taboo. Like we can't speak on like the things that a man does for a woman unless it's maybe viewed in a negative light, and vice versa. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like, no, like you're with him because like of XYZ he does in your life. And that's fine as long as you also do XYZ in his life as well. And it's all reciprocated. It should be fine, but it's very odd. And I guess that's kind of the what do you bring to the table conversation of like, what is the value that you're providing to somebody else, especially when you're demanding it out of them, which is fine, but it's like, what exactly is it?
And what's astonishing is the amount of people that know what they want but don't know what they have to offer. Yeah. And that's one of the biggest parts of like success. Like you ask somebody and they'll, I want a man that's this tall, this much money, but like what do you have to offer him? Like, and that's where the question I think stems from. Obviously it's been exaggerated now to like, you got to have this laundry list of, whatever. But I just think that.
No, we said it in the last video. It's like the only people who get really offended by that question is people, like you said, they have no idea what they actually do provide.
Exactly.
That's really the only people who get offended by that. And that's both men and women. If somebody asks you like, what is it? And you get offended by it, it's like, bro, like that just means you don't, like literally you don't have nothing there.
You go to a job interview and they ask you, what can you do for us? Yeah. Like, and then you go, nothing, or I don't know, or I am the job.
Or everything.
I am the job.
Yeah, I am the job, yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Like, that's not even
everything, and I am the table is like, what is everything? Like, what is that? Like, just break it down. What is everything?
All things.
Everything, all things.
Yeah, like it's crazy. And then like, or oftentimes the conversation will go to like money. And it's like, but you want a guy that's like a millionaire? Like that, he doesn't care about the money that you're making if that's the guy, or like 100,000. Like the thing is, like for me personally, and I know this might be like crazy. People go, oh, this means he's insecure about this and that. But I personally wouldn't date a woman that makes more than me, because I understand the amount of time it takes to do what I'm doing. Okay. And if you're doing that, then that means you're offering value. And where's that value going? Traditionally speaking, when you ask this conversation, women will say they want him to pay all the bills. Well, then what are you doing with your $100,000? Are you just hoarding it so you can leave me via marriage in 5 years? Or like, what are we doing with that money? You know, so like they'll say they want a man that's worth $100,000, but then go, I'm going to work my job too, so not offer him anything. And so the reason why I wouldn't marry or be with a woman that makes more than me is because it's so time consuming that I need you to be able to be free when it's in the small increments that I'm free, so that we can actually spend time with each other and actually continue to build our relationship. Yeah. And I think that like for sometimes what I value in a relationship is would be hard to do for if you had like a job that's as taxing as what I do, that to make the money. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like and this all goes into like people go, when it comes to like women and work, for some reason within the last 60 years, there's been this idea that women don't have to do anything. Like they're like, you should be able to be in a relationship with a man that can provide everything for you to the point where you have to do nothing. And that's just so weird to me because no time in human history did women do nothing. Yeah. Women have always had jobs. They just weren't like, instead of throwing something in a washing machine and taking 30 minutes, you had to hand wash it. You know, you like while you're raising kids and while you're doing these things like cooking and trying to make sure everything's correct. So it's always been something that women have had to do. But for some reason now, like there's an idea that for you to be in a successful relationship, you have to do nothing. Like that's considered a successful relationship. Like, no, that you have to offer value. You have to do something.
Yeah.
Like get a part-time. If we're hardworking individuals, I work full-time, you maybe get a part-time. So that way you can, and women work on average 36 hours a week anyway. So that's technically part-time, but you do something that adds value to the family unit. And if that takes two people doing a little bit of work, especially before pregnancy, then that's what you got to do. Save money for hard times so that when the pregnancy does happen, you have the opportunity to quit your job if you want to, because it is taxing to have a child and go to work. Mm-hmm. But this individual, independent woman mindset is exactly that. It's literally putting women in the worst situation possible. And that's the disgusting part about it. Yeah. Like you're putting a person in a very, very vulnerable state when you tell them to just be independent in a world where you have to depend on people.
It's so funny. Like being independent is not even something you'd want to celebrate. First of all, you're not. Let's start there because you don't farm your own food. And you know what I'm saying? You don't build your own homes. Like you rely on other people around you who have trades and skills to be able to live the life that you live. Mm-hmm. You can't build your own car. You can't even rely on your own country because this country like how the fuck do I eat a mango in the wintertime? Yeah. Because you got it from somewhere where it's tropical at that time of year. So every country and every person relies on others for their own like well-being. I think the need to be independent is like you should want to be comfortable. Mm-hmm. Like with yourself, like if you should definitely have a job, you should have life skills so that you could take care of yourself. But like, bro, in the face of like, that'd be like if the Toronto Raptors right now had like an offer to pick up KD for free, and they're like, no, we don't need a fucking superstar to win this championship. Yeah, it's like why not? We're independent. Yeah, we're independent. We're the Toronto Raptors. I'm like, no, pick up KD. It's not going to cost you nothing. In fact, he'll be very helpful. He'll drop buckets.
Yeah. But it's just an ego. I think it's just an ego thing.
Yeah, it's really a pride thing.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, pride. So at the end of the podcast, we give you some questions, rapid fire questions. Give us a quick answer. Okay. And we'll see. We'll see where we go from here. Well, you say you are totally against simping, so we can't even ask you what was your biggest simp moment.
I've been with my girlfriend since 15.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah, so I never really even had an opportunity to delve into that lifestyle, and
that is wild. By the way.
It's insane. Yeah, and I've actually been committed throughout all of this. So like I know like people, I've been committed and fully. And I think that's one of the things that actually helped me because I was so focused on what I wanted to do and go, and I already had a woman that I got attention from. Fair. Some guys are just doing shit, throwing stuff at the wall because they're trying to get female attention. Yeah. I had that, so I was able to focus on what I want, where I wanted to go early. Fair enough. Yeah, I just didn't really have that moment.
So then I guess the second question is, what's your horniest moment and how'd you deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, I just dealt with it with my wife. That's how I deal with it.
That is another thing. Yeah, you've been in a relationship for so long.
Yeah, like that's the thing that makes it so like hard to like do the. Yeah,
all right, so then let's ask.
I guess actually my biggest simp moment, I guess, is when I was younger, talking to girls for long periods of time as to why they shouldn't be with a dude. Like, I kind of count that as simping a little bit.
Like on the phone?
Yeah, where you're just like, you don't need to be with him. He's doing this. He's not good to you. Like, it's just crazy. Young kid stuff. Like, just kid stuff. Like, in a sense that, like, you have a female friend that's complaining to you about this guy, and you're just, like, solution-based. So you're like, hey, just don't be with him. And you talk to them for hours and hours, and then you see them again next week, like, with the same dude at 13. You know, you're 13, though, so it doesn't really matter. But you definitely learn some lessons from that. So I guess that'd be simping.
I guess, well, since you're married, what are the top 5 things that you look for in a woman or look for in your wife that you know, the top 5 things, the top 5 characteristics that you love about your wife?
I like that, again, and I know this sounds like redundant, but I like that she offers value in terms of reciprocation. I like that she is willing to hear what I have to say. I guess that's one. Listening. I like that she's willing to hear what I like to say and actually like take criticism as to what I like want, and I do the same for her. I like that she is a person that I can bounce ideas off of, that can give me a and I think that's part of the balance, is she can give me an emotional opinion on something that I might like want to do. And she goes, you know, that's not right because of this, or you shouldn't do this because of that. It's just a different set of eyes. So I like that aspect of it. I like that she's very family oriented because like you said, like me too, with the work and stuff, I can get so distant from family. They're like, but that's horrible for you. You have to have some attachment. So she's like, you got your birthday next week. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do that. So that's another way she reciprocates value, which makes her hard to replace because she's going to book my hotel. She's going to book my flight. She's going to do the things that's necessary so I can focus on what I'm doing.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and I guess the last thing is she's attractive. Like that matters. Like, can we stop it?
Damn.
She's a stop.
Almost made it.
No, she's no. Like I'm not going to cap. Wait, what?
Nigga smiling in the back.
It's an ongoing thing where we're trying to figure out like, can a man go like 5 characteristics without talking about looks? But
yeah, well, I could have, but I thought that it was an important one because a lot of people be trying to beat around that, like, okay, I don't date people because I just see what'd you say?
It's important.
Yeah, it is important. I agree. I don't think that
only if you
what? Mine's is 7th on the list.
7th on the list.
Yeah.
Well, I think that now I think guys have to watch out for it a little more. Because you know the character is so much more important nowadays than the looks because not everybody has good character. Like there's so few people that like have good character. And when a woman doesn't have good character, they can overindulge in promiscuity, bro. And I'm not that guy. I mean, I'm just not.
Not everyone's 416 either.
What'd you say?
Not everyone's 416 either.
416. What that mean?
Pounds.
Oh.
You call me fat. You call me it's a fat joke.
Oh. Yeah,
I said, oh.
I didn't know. I was just saying.
No.
That's a Toronto area code too.
Jeez. What's the next question? Oh. Well, always because I was following you for a good second. What was the video that really kind of just took off and changed a lot of things for you?
Like at the start, or would you say like when I kind of started going and getting things figured out?
No, like you were like trying to gain some momentum, and then like this video dropped, and it was like, or even better yet, what do you believe your best video is? It don't have to be because of views, but like your best video, like personally your best video.
Tough. I genuinely try. Like I try to do the Mr. Beast thing where I'm making a better. Like I try to. That's really hard to do because everybody has their opinion as to what's good and what's bad. Yeah. But I genuinely try to make better content every time I do it. So like I try to have a take, but from a creative like perspective. So like with the Will Smith thing, when it came down to Will Smith, I was like, you know, actors play different characters all the time, and I think that he's lost himself and he's trying to figure out a character that Jada likes, and so he's trying to do these different things and play these different roles to fulfill what her needs. So like I would say, as far as my favorite video, I'd say that's so hard because I make so many of them too. Yeah, I like drop content every day.
Daily?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, for a whole year I did it daily, but now I'm like, you know how it goes. After a while, you get burnt out and all that stuff. But I like the men and women in sports video just because I created it to the point where it's self-explanatory. Yeah. I didn't have to do much in that video, but I did a lot of editing, you know. So there's that. But I wanted to make a video that's shareable, that is self-explanatory. And when you're in a part where men and women are the same, it's pretty easy to see that we're different when you see some dude just running right past this girl in track and they're all professional athletes, or when you see physically speaking, men are just significantly stronger. Yeah. So that's kind of the message that I wanted with that one, and I think it got across. So I think that that's probably my favorite video.
True. It's hard to ask you the questions because you're actually in a relationship and married.
Yeah.
You've been married for like you basically been in a relationship since you're 15, so like the questions just don't apply to you.
Yeah.
I guess not. I think that's it then.
Yeah. I'm glad you talk about people being different though. Because I just figured everybody was the same, really. Because I just treated everybody like they was the same. I still do that now, but like just small shit, like, you know, genetically there's certain ceilings I'm gonna have that you're not gonna have, and then vice versa. Just and it could be random stuff. It could be your likelihood to get cancer, or it could be like your explosiveness if you're a football player. Yeah. Like a lot of that stuff is like you could train to your ceiling, but your ceiling is genetic. So in that way, we're all different. But I feel like it's worth celebrating those differences.
Yeah, also, the reason why we didn't upload the video, because people ask us that. People send me those videos.
What video you talking about?
Any trans video. The reason why we didn't down playback is because I know you for a fact you feel like you're not well informed enough to have a take on it.
I have no clue.
And Similar with me. I'm not informed enough. And I'm being so serious when I say a part of me I don't really care that much, but then the other part of me, like, I'll watch something and I'll be like, bro, that's fucked that she cannot no longer, like, people just can't compete because somebody's just like running through the fucking competition.
Yeah.
But we just not informed enough, and I just don't want to come out the window something like it seems like such a pressing issue. Even though it probably shouldn't really be that much of a pressing issue, like you said before, like there's so many other things.
There's so many other things on the list, like
so many other things.
And they
on
make
the
up
list.
like trans folks, they make up 0.01% of the population. Like there are more people that have 1 foot, but when they go to Foot Locker, they still have to buy 2 shoes. You don't get a discount. You just unfortunately there are some inconveniences because people are different. People just have different struggles, and that could be your own internal struggle. But I don't think that the best way to solve that is to changing the entire society for 0.01% of the population, especially when you see what it's causing, like in terms of the difference. Like, let's focus on things that are, I don't want to say important because that's definitely important to somebody, right? That matters.
Sure.
But healthcare, like a livable wage, maybe, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe let's talk about the fact that as an opponent, China's closing in on us, and we're having a tough time getting moving in a direction because we're all scattered and going different directions. And as a country, being competitive in the world market, that matters, you know. So like, the biggest thing I have about it is let's get over it. Jeez, like we've been doing this for like 5 years now. Let's just go somewhere. Let's do something amazing. Like, why are we stuck?
Well, I guess thank you for coming on. Any final words? Give
me the HBO special. That's the Help a Brother Out special. Hit the like and the subscribe button. Then go over to the Poor Man's Podcast and then hit the like and subscribe button.
Hey, man. Any final words, Agent?
No, the Raptors locked in the 5th seed, man. I'm a happy man. No cap.
Did the Celtics win?
Oh, I don't know.
You know everybody was ducking the Nets, right?
Yeah, no, I'm ducking the 76ers. Even though we just beat them, I'm panicking if we have to play them in the playoffs.
And John, any final words?
Open the door. You shall seek your destiny.
Okay. I guess.
That's motivational, brother.
Didn't John say he was trying to get better as a man?
Yeah.
The Celtics did win, so yeah, everybody was trying to duck the Nets, and then the Celtics ended up pulling them. And again, thank you for coming out, man. Definitely appreciate it. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to all my YouTube people out there rocking with us strong. Another episode of Peer to Peer Podcast. Shout out to all my audio people out there, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Continue to rate us a 5-star. On YouTube, make sure, like he said, help a brother out, man. Go ahead and click the subscribe button and the notification bell to join.
Noti gang.
Hey, that's close enough. Shout out to my Noti gang people out there. Clicks all the links in the description, so uncut stuff down there, content, special content. And as always, shout out to my word of mouth people. Thank y'all for helping us moving this podcast forward. And until next time, we'll see y'all later. Peace.